Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always is Nathaniel and Dennis. Yeah,
Hello, hello.
yeah, just two of us
Hello.
tonight. So
Yeah, just two names.
no
Yeah,
Eric, no.
just two. One, two, two.
Yeah. Now we got two banana eating guys because I didn't have a chance to get another another picture for Eric, so it was like, well, I'll just throw up the banana eating guy again. So we'll just have two banana eating guys. So it's not weird at all to have two banana eating guys sitting on the stream. But, yeah.
Just change the photo every once in a while, or just do like a picture of Kratos pissed off. Just a big picture of Kratos.
Yeah, just rotate one. Just have something rotating all the time. Just different. Him go and then and then Yeah, but I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do any of that today. So it's like just working out of town for all week and coming home for 2 days is just really crimping my style on getting things done around the house. So it's like I literally come home and do laundry and eat dinner and then leave again. So
that's always been my problem too with just anything in general where you only have 2 days during the weekend to get a lot of stuff done, especially back in the school era, right? Where they were like Monday through Friday you get homework. By the way, you only have Saturday and Sunday to do it. And it's just like, man, but I just want to hang out with my friends, man. Please.
Exactly. Well, that's what it was last week. That's what we should have had a show last week, but I didn't, because we had guests coming over on Friday. So it was like, okay, well, as soon as I got home, I got home early, 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, and I hit the door, cleaned the house, and our vacuum cleaner broke while the wife was vacuuming. So on the way home, I had to stop and buy a new vacuum cleaner and, come home and do that. And then Saturday, our refrigerator out in the garage stopped working, so we had to go buy a new refrigerator. So, it was just like, by that time, it was just like, you know what? I haven't done laundry yet. We haven't done this yet. Forget it. It's just too much. It's like, give up.
I've had that happen to me before, too, though. It's bad. It's bad when that happens. Just like this crazy domino effect of there's no power. And then I remember was it summer of last year or something? Maybe 2 years ago, where my computer broke down, and then I had to get a new computer that week, and then in that same week got a new TV because the old one broke, and then just so many electronic things, and a new microwave, and
I was always told those things come in threes, but it only came in two this time, and then I had to get what's that?
The third one is pending. I'm sure it's something.
I hope not. Knock on wood. I hope it's not pending after a week.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid, but still, you never know.
Yeah, but it's like yesterday. I said this week ended up being a whole lot better. I said I had to leave the truck here to get the oil changed in it during the week, so I got to take the Mustang. So I drove the Mustang all week in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. I got a PlayStation 5 ordered on Thursday. I got my first COVID shot on Friday, and I bought a new phone today. So
I was gonna ask about that, actually. I saw you got saw the tweet that you did. Would you get that new? You got the big one.
Yeah,
right?
I got the 12 Pro Max, large XL, whatever the heck it's called. Yeah,
that's what they should just call it, though, is the big one.
Yeah, the big one. Yeah. I wanted a big screen again. I missed, as much as I liked my XR, I thought it was, I just missed having a big screen. So
yeah, I was talking to my girlfriend about it, actually, just because she actually just ordered a new phone yesterday or 2 days ago, actually. So she got, well, it's being shipped right at the moment, but it's the new S21 Pro Plus Max,
whatever.
Edition. Yeah. So, and I was just saying that I kind of do miss having a big. I love this phone. I love the Pixel 3. I've been with Pixel now since the first Pixel, really. But I think the next Pixel I get is definitely going to be the XL version, because I've gotten just the standard size every time. So, but the next one is going to be the XL. And the reason why I go with the standard ones usually is because I got small hands in general, and usually big devices can cramp my hands.
Yeah.
But I do miss having that big screen, and then especially now with Gamepass being a thing on mobile and xCloud and whatnot, I've found myself utilizing that a lot more recently. So, I just want to take advantage of a bigger, brighter screen.
Yeah, well, that was the one thing that I wanted. I wanted a bigger screen, doing cloud gaming and stuff like that. And I was telling Nathaniel before you hopped on, I was interested in the 5G because, I'm usually around the Pittsburgh area, Erie, right, where 5G is at. Well, come to find out, we have 5G right here, and I didn't know it. Because the guy was like, "Oh yeah, we got 5G right here. You can pull 200 megs right in the store." And as soon as I got it, that's the first thing I was like, "Holy fright! This is 5G's as fast as I get at home, but I'm on, cellular, which is weird. It's really, really weird."
It's just, Nathaniel brought up a good point though, where it's like it's kind of hard to like utilize that unless you're like a really like hardcore like mobile user,
right?
Like otherwise, because I can see my YouTube videos loading faster. Because if there's anything I do a lot in terms of like bandwidth usage on my phone, it would be YouTube. And then of course I play the occasional game, like I'll play Mario Kart Tour or Pokemon Masters, whatever. But other than that, I'm not. And of course, I guess streaming xCloud would probably be the biggest bandwidth usage, really.
Yeah,
but
and that's what I'm anxious to try out on 5G is see how that works on 5G.
Yeah,
like
off data.
Really
the thing with 5G that I hope is it more as doing competition with just regular ISPs, so that it makes the landscape a little bit better than it is right now.
Yeah.
We shall see. But like, if you get that fast on like your mobile, like you might just get like, hey, I'll get a 5G plan that can hook all my stuff to if it's capable. Like, it'll take a little while before devices catch up to that. But it's potentially a feature we could have.
Well, and the weird thing is I get better upload speed from the 5G that I do on my home network.
That's because they cap the crap out of it because they don't want people doing servers.
Yeah, it's like I'm in the backyard I'm just testing. I'm like, let's see how fast this speed test. Holy crap!
Well, I think the big thing about that too is having the capability of that sort of like fast, those fast upload and download speeds on your phone is that you'll have more utilization when it comes to hotspots, stuff like that too. So that would be a big thing.
Yeah, I can't wait to play with it out and about and see, there's a lot of places we were going today and I was like, let's see if I got 5G here. Oh, nope, I still don't even have 3G. Oh, no, I don't have no service. It's like, I'm out in the country, never mind, forget it.
Yeah, that's how it is. You'll get lucky to get like 3G.
Or extended. It's always good when you see extended. That always is a great thing. It's like, you're not even going to get an email out. You're not even going to get a text message out extended.
I can't even get. I can maybe load up something that was cached at one point, but otherwise,
you might get a phone call if you're lucky. But so anyway, circling back to talking about gaming, well, we kind of threw some gaming in there, so it's still 5G gaming. Sure, why not? But so I'm anxious to try that out. I would say I'm anxious to try it out this week, but I guess I could do it here at the house, but I won't be able to do it on the road because where I'm going, they probably will not have 5G this week. So I call it the boonies of Pennsylvania. So they don't usually have it up in the mountains, but we'll see.
5G is still a thing that's slowly rolling out. Honestly, when you think about it, it's one of those things too where you're starting to see 4K kind of become like more readily available and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of people that just have regular 1080p TVs.
Yep.
People have adopted 4K as quickly as 1080p when 1080p was a thing, like when it first started coming out.
Yeah, it's very true. So, but anyway, let's talk about what we've been doing. What we've been playing. Even though I've been on the road, I actually stopped carrying my Switch around with me, and I bought a case. It looks like I'm carrying a high-end camera or some guns around or something. It reminded me of Agent 47's suitcase. Yeah. It's crazy, and I remember the days when I just wanted a case to carry around a console. I'd go to Walmart and buy a $30 case or go to GameStop and maybe buy a $50 case. But those days apparently are gone because all these high-end case companies are the ones who have gotten into making cases for for portable to take your game systems around. So I had just had so much on the Xbox backlog, and the longer I'm gone from home, the longer that backlog gets. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy one of these cases. I hate to pay it was $110 for it or something. It was insane. But it's laser cut foam. It's real nice. I mean, I can't complain. I can literally carry 5 games in my system, all my cables. I even take my external hard drive with me and throw my controller in there, and it's good to go.
Yeah, it's the same type of case you put like, expensive cameras in or that kind of stuff.
I mean,
you could cut whatever hole in the foam you need.
It's waterproof. It's got a pressure valve on it, so whatever altitude you're in, you can twist it and you can open it because it's got that seal on it, and it's a crazy thing. But it's been really nice because instead of going to the hotel and just watching YouTube all day, all afternoon or all evening, or just falling asleep in the middle of the afternoon after work is over, I actually have been able to play some Immortals. Phoenix Rising is what I've been playing. I've spent 6 hours to 15 hours or 20 hours into the game. But the one thing that I realized is I spent 12 hours in the first 2 zones. I didn't, the starting zone and then the first zone. And then it was like, I unlocked everything, got all the ambrosia, got all the stuff, did all the things. And then I went, oh my gosh, I've been here for 13 hours just going around the map, unlocking.
That's right.
So I finally forced myself to go to the other zone the other day. It's like, holy crap. I still the game's still fantastic, but now I've kind of gotten to the point where I could tell that I should have came to this zone about 6 hours earlier, because now it's just like I just can one-shot almost everything.
Yeah, that's what you start to do, especially like that's how it is with me and the arrows, because I kept upgrading the arrows, so now it's just like ranged almost one-shotting just about everything. It's ridiculous.
Well, all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I got a bird, and this bird can attack things. It's like, well, that's cool. I
got that bird like fairly early on when I was playing.
Yeah, well, I did too, but I never really used it, or I never used potions early on. I never used anything. So now it's like, now every big battle I go into, let's potion this sucker up and and run in there. It's like, why wasn't I doing this when I was playing it before? I don't know. I've gotten two epic mounts. I got a blue unicorn looking thing. It looks like water. I don't know what it's called. And then when I was on the starter island, I found another one that I had missed. And it's like a metal Pegasus with wings. He doesn't fly, but
I think I've got that one. I think
those are the only 2 I got. Other than just a basic horse to
ride
around.
Cool, but I don't think mounts are all that useful in that game.
They're really
because
not.
It's more about like gliding to places or whatever, teleporting once you unlock it. It's just like. Yeah. Oh yeah, I always forgot that there was a horse or a deer or whatever mount I had at the time that I could ride.
Yeah. I'd just be walking along. I'm like, oh, that looks like an interesting horse. What is that? Oh, that's some epic horse. Let me just go ahead and get him. Then I ride him once or twice and then be like, okay, that was cool. Let me go. But yeah, that's literally all I've been playing is Immortals Phoenix Rising, and what
is just so good. Like I really do love it. I love the art direction. I think it's the best thing Ubisoft's made in years, honestly. Like in terms of like new properties and stuff like that. Like I love this idea, and I don't know. It's been clicking with me. So I love the idea of like a more cartoony sort of.
Yeah, I kind of do too, and a little bit of humor in it. It doesn't.
I like that. I wouldn't call it the best thing Ubisoft's done in years, though. Like it's just so recycled. And like, here's all these different like pieces they put together, and like the only thing kind of a little more unique is the art style, but that even they're pulling from other things that aren't Ubisoft. But it's still very much a Ubisoft open world game. It's not like, so I got kind of tired of it after a while. I was like, yeah, this is good, but it's just kind of like, all right, I'm not feeling the need to keep playing it. I'd rather go play something else, and that's kind of why I ended up stop playing it after a while.
I think the one thing about it is I don't want to say it came out at the wrong time. But for it and Assassin's Creed to both come out very close together, and they both be a very close kind of game, it's almost
like without that though, they put it out in like December, and that's like games very rarely do well there too.
Yeah. So. To me, it's kind of like Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn coming out near at the same time. When you're playing one, it's like, well, I go to the other, and it's like, it's good, I like it, but it's kind of like what I'm doing over here. Let me go ahead and finish this, and then you never go back and finish the other.
It's a game they probably should have put out in like February or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It got a little more attention.
Yeah, and something like that. I Totally agree.
I think Ubisoft just had like a crazy holiday season. I mean, like in a good way for them, but at the same time, just kind of overwhelming for a lot of people who are interested. Because like literally back to back to back, October, November, December, you literally had Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legions, and then Immortals Phoenix Rising back to back.
Yeah.
So it was bam, 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 just like that. And like all of those games, are games, especially with the way Ubisoft designs stuff now. They want you to play those games for a very, very long time.
Right.
So you can't just, or I mean, you can, but that's not going to be the case with most people. Most people are going to choose either one or the other usually.
Right.
Even if you end up buying all of them, you're going to choose one or the other to play. Like I still haven't played Legion. I bought a Valhalla Legion double pack during their New Year's sale or whatever, because it was $60, so it was practically a buy one get one.
Right.
And I still haven't touched Legion at all. Still just put in a bunch of hours into Valhalla and Immortals Phoenix Rising, but Legion, nope.
It makes me wonder what a Ubisoft game could be if they just cut the sprawl in half.
Yeah.
It'd still be big games because they're so huge at this point now. All of them are like every, even kind of like Immortals is sort of smaller almost, but it's not really. Like when you're actually going around, like this is a huge map. There's lots of stuff in it. It's very, just so many things. That, like, what if they narrowed the scope for some of their games, even if it's still an open world game? Like, how much detail could they put in, or how much more quickly could they put them out at that point?
Yeah. I think I would love to actually see something that capped out at 15 hours from them, but still have that sort of depth and scale. But at 15 hours, and kind of work yourself around those 15 hours.
Yeah. Go back to kind of some of the like Prince of Persia or Beyond Good and Evil, like that length of game, but with the polish and crazy amount of studios you have now. Like you could crank those out quicker, or you could just put a lot more detail into them, or whatever. Or you could just sit here and have a Beyond Good and Evil 2 sequel that never, ever, ever comes out because they keep making trailers for it, and everyone's just like, what? That's weird. That doesn't seem like Beyond Good and Evil at all. Like, it was a fun, cartoony game with, like, weird animal people in space, but you're, like, taking photos in that game and, like, hitting things with a stick. And it was very much, like, kind of a Zelda-type game in structure, and then, like, everything they showed for the sequel was just like, that's okay, sure, maybe. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the one where they had, like, the first couple teasers were like, okay, cool. It's just like the characters that you know from the first game in, much higher resolution character models and stuff. But the one they had, like, the whole, like, weird attitude one, or it's like the one at E3 where they showed the trailer where it's just like, yeah, we're showing two. We're like a game from the 90s almost, is what it seemed like they were going for. And I was like, why? What?
Yeah, of course.
I want more stuff because I feel like we still haven't seen it since then. But like what they did, I want more stuff like Child of Light and Valiant Hearts. That's what I want. I want more stuff like that because those games were brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be all right.
But I wonder if they just didn't do that because the teams that were doing that just didn't want to do games that small, or Ubisoft was getting in the way of doing small things. And if you were a smaller studio trying to do it, you could have done it better. Or if they just didn't get enough, sales, that Ubisoft just said, we're not doing that anymore, or some combination of all those things. Who knows?
It's weird because those games are so critically acclaimed, so it makes you wonder. I don't know. Honestly.
Yeah. I really want them to go back to doing Prince of Persia, but like don't update it for now or whatever and make it open world Prince of Persia, because that'd be terrible, because that's just not what Prince of Persia is good at.
Yeah.
But man, like all of the last Prince of Persia games were so good. They never had like a really terrible one. And then they just stopped making them because they started doing Assassin's Creed instead. And it became, super popular and made them tons of money. So Prince of Persia kind of went away.
Right.
And I think there's been at least one or two times where they were sort of working on a reboot that never actually made it out. I was like, come on, Ubisoft, Prince of Persia. At least it's a name that's very recognizable, so you could make something with it.
Right. And they're doing the remaster. Aren't they
the Sands of Time remaster that looks like trash, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
Well,
maybe they delayed it because it looked like trash.
Right. Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if if it does good, I wonder if they would change. Would maybe do a proper...
Maybe, but you got to do it well, because like looking at that is like, okay, you took the original game and you remade it like it was maybe one generation past where it was instead of like current. You didn't make it look that good. It was more of a slight remaster kind of, but it didn't even look all that great.
Right.
It's kind of the ones where like, hey, this is what I remember it looking like until you actually go back and look at what the game really looked like, but it's still kind of like it didn't impress, and it was like, I like that game, but not if you're gonna half-ass a port. Like, do it right, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but anyway, that's what I've been playing. The other thing that I will say, being impressed with, is even though I like the original or the Xbox controller still having AA batteries, so if I need to swap them, real quick, it's real easy to do. The Elite Pro controller, the Elite 2, the battery life in that thing is ridiculously awesome. A PlayStation 4 controller, I can only get maybe 2.5 hours out of. I literally can play Monday through Thursday for 2 to 4 hours a day and never charge that Elite Pro 2 controller till I get home. And I checked the battery life on it, and it's maybe lost a quarter in 4 days of play.
Yeah.
It's whatever battery they put in that. Why can't everybody, Sony and all
Sony hasn't made it quite back, quite up to that level, but the PS5 controller's much better battery life than the PS4. At least in my mind have. So
I'll find out.
Not quite play it all week type, but still you can play it a lot longer than like 3 hours or something and have to charge it.
I'm just blown away by that Elite controller. It's like, holy crap, how big is that battery? What kind of, I just, because I don't take my,
I guess that's probably part of the price of that thing is they put a, nice, battery in there. Otherwise, because batteries can otherwise they just use like cheaper stuff that doesn't last as long, but it makes the controller cheaper. Who knows?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's I just am blown away by how good the controller battery is. It really, really, really blows my mind how good it is. So yeah, I had to say that. It's like, yeah, okay. To be able to have bought this Elite Pro controller for so cheap, normally I would say I would never spend that kind of money on a controller. But if they ever come out with a 3 and it's a leap above what this is, if it has some kind of haptic feedback or something that would make me, I've got to have that, I might actually spend the money on it because I've been that happy with this controller, especially with the battery life. It's unbelievable. It's like, what the crap? I was carrying a charging cable with me because I'm like, I'm sure I'll have to charge this. Nope, I don't have to. I haven't had to charge it, so I didn't even bring a charging cable with me. So it was like, that's how confident I was that was going to work, and it did. So.
Does it include a charging cable when you buy it?
Oh yeah. It's got the little. Well, it's even got a little charging dock. It's got this little thing right here that you plug the USB cable in, and you just set the controller down on it, and it's magnetized, so it sticks to the back of it and it charges it, and you can put it in the case, and there's a hole in the back of the case that the USB cable can go through, so you don't even have to take it out of the case to charge it if you don't want to.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got this nice little heavy charging thing, but
because I know a lot of phones lately, like they're just like they don't give you anything anymore. Like you open up the box and it's just a phone and that's it. Like there's nothing else.
Yeah, I didn't even look in the box of the phone. I know it's got a cable in it, but I didn't even look at the.
So I didn't know if they were also like just so confident the battery was just like, don't worry, you don't have to charge it.
Yeah, this thing will never be. You'll never have to charge it again. No,
this battery will last for at least 4 decades.
Yeah. Like we've found the battery equivalent of like the eternal flame. So we're good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that it lasts that long. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. So, let's see. Nathaniel, why don't you go ahead and go? I want to know more about that Valheim game that I bought and have not booted.
I haven't been playing it quite as much as I had when it first came out, but playing it for a little, few hours here and there. I've beaten 3 of the 5 bosses, and I am running around kind of like the mountain areas in the game, looking for hidden silver and whatnot up in them hills. I got a bunch of silver today, so I got to craft a bunch of new armor, and then I crafted a cool new bow that does poison damage automatically with no matter what arrows you're using, so that's cool. Yeah, so I don't know. I still haven't figured out on my world where the mountain boss is yet, so I'm gonna have to do that at some point and then work towards going to beat it. Mountains are like deceptively dangerous. So like when you go up in them at first, they start you're like freezing, so you start taking damage. It ticks off like pretty quickly. It's just 1 or 2 at a time, but it's still like slowly going down until you can craft potions to resist it. And then once you or you could do like a chain of campfires or something, but even that only works. You're still cold even though you're right next to a campfire.
Right.
But yeah, once you find some of the materials up in that zone, you can craft some armor that automatically gets you, keeps you warm up there, so you don't have to worry about taking potions every 10 minutes or something. So like even the potions work pretty well as long as you pay attention to the countdown timer.
Yeah.
But it'll be like, hey, I found a vein of silver and I'm mining it, and then oh crap, I died. I died probably about 5 or 6 times up in the mountains because it just suddenly hey, a little drake thing flew up and shot me with its freezing ice breath 4 times in a row, but I couldn't get out of the way because I was stuck in this hole that I was mining. And then I have to make my way back up there and grab my stuff before I freeze to death, and then keep going so I can haul all that silver out. I do have I've only been playing it single player, so I'm exploiting the game to get all of my metal back. Because you cannot, there's some items which is mostly like metal ores and metal that you cannot take through portals.
Right, yeah. I saw Dan and mentioned something about that in our Slack chat, and I didn't know
so I have 2 Valheim worlds. I have my main world, and I have one I called Cloud Save, where I just log out with everything in my inventory, log into there, put all the metal or whatever that I'm carrying into a chest, and then go back to my other world. And then that way, I mine out all the stuff in a huge chunk. Because even then, if you're super encumbered and you're like, hey, you have 1,000 out of 300 pounds you're carrying right now, that's fine. Just log out and then go throw it in a chest. It's a lot quicker than hey, I brought carts with me, or I brought a boat with me that I could put materials on and then sail back to my base or whatever. That takes forever. I'm like, nah, I got that kind of time. I'll just do it this way.
Yeah.
I think there's even mods that will take away those restrictions for whatever is in can't go through portals, but I haven't bothered with that because I figured that stuff will either get patched out or changed at some point. So I was just I'll just do what's already in the game. Log out, log in. Since your character keeps all their stuff, it makes it pretty easy to do. Yeah. And I just go back and spend way too much time smelting all the ore.
I like that idea, actually. It's really smart.
It's not a quick process, the smelting, unless you just build a whole bunch of smelters, which would still take a bunch of materials to build up to that. I just have 2, and I have 2 things that make charcoal.
Yeah.
And they just kind of bounce between them to oh, I need to feed more charcoal into this. Oh, here we go. Put more wood in there to make more charcoal. Just, throw on some music or something for half an hour while I'm doing it.
Sounds like I remember on what was it? Star Wars Galaxies. You could set up things to build things like droid parts or whatever. So you just go get all the supplies. You'd walk over to the machines that you build on your farm and just dump everything in there, and then walk away and go do something else and come back. And
not quite
I
like
ran
that.
Out of energy. I gotta put more energy in it.
It's much more like a Minecraft or a lot of other games too, where you have here's your furnace where you can smelt your ores. You have to put the fuel and the materials in, and then wait for it to kind of cycle through, and then make sure it's not running out of fuel. However, unlike Minecraft, you can't put a thing on it to put a whole boatload of fuel or anything in it and automate it. Minecraft has all those cool kind of redstone wiring, etc. Things where you can make machines. Valheim don't got that.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
So you kind of have to babysit a little. There's a nice thing though, if you like load up your smelters and then go to bed, it's like time really passes, so it's all like you'll hear it go tunk, 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 as that does the whole like dim to black and fade back up for morning thing.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wait for that, but if it's the middle of the day, you can't sleep it off. So if you time it right, you can do a whole like kind of like one load of iron or whatever metal you're smelting.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So that game's still really cool. So I was like jumping it, but yeah, I got distracted by another game.
All right.
So Loop Hero is like another kind of indie darling game at the moment. That's it hadn't sold as much as Valheim, but it came out and within a few days, I think it got like up to 500,000. It might be in 1 million now. Copies sold on Steam. I don't know. I have to look.
Jesus.
But it's a interesting combo where it's kind of like a roguelite, but also kind of a card deck management game. And it's only roguelike in structure as far as like you go out and then when you die, you go back to kind of like your hub and you can build some more buildings to help you out so that your next run's a little bit better. But it's not an action game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually do any of the combat. That happens automatically for you, and you kind of like start and stop time. So you go into kind of like it's running, or you can pause it so that you can place things. So like you have like the world has been kind of erased for the most part, and then like you're sort of remembering it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the shtick, but you have like a loop. It's all very pixel art, like I'd say kind of 16-bit.
Okay.
But you have like a loop that's a slightly different shape. That's a path that your little character like kind of walks around, and you can start and stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you start where it's all empty, and there's some slimes that will spawn in there. And when you kill a slime or whatever, you get random drops of stuff. So you can get cards, and you can get kind of like gear for your character. Mm-hmm. And cards come in the shape of like terrain. So in all the empty space in the map, you can put down, here's a mountain card, here's like a thing, and you'll put like a kind of little square tile of whatever on there. And those have different effects. So if you put down, say, a mountain thing, it gives you so much extra health or whatever. Right. So you're kind of building out sort of the map as you go, but just sort of like the exterior of it. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes when you arrange these tiles in a certain way, it will transform into something different. So that's kind of all the exterior, but you also get some stuff that happens on the inside. So like here's a grove that you put on the path that every couple of days will spawn like a wolf rat or rat wolf, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then here's like a cemetery where skeletons spawn, and here's where spider cocoons and all this stuff. So you're basically putting out different enemy types on the path. And so you have to be careful about not putting too many, or else you're going to get killed right away. You have to kind of learn, like, okay, I can put about this many. All right, I got a little bit better gear, so now I can put some more stuff down. And so every time you go around the loop, you get back to the first tile, which is kind of like your village or camp or whatever they call it. And it heals you a certain amount when you get back there, and you can choose either to stop and take all of the resources you've gathered back to town, or go around the loop again. And so like if you want to go around the loop again, you're like, okay, I've got this much health and I know I'm doing okay, I can do that. Each time you go around the loop, the enemies get a little bit harder. And then at a certain point I think it's tied to like how many cards you've played, so how many things you put on the path, how many things you put around out in the area around the loop, it will progress to where you've finished kind of like the quote story for that like level or chapter or whatever they call it, and a boss spawns on the end tile. And then if you fight the boss, you can unlock going to chapter 2, which if you go to chapter 2, then enemies are a little harder, but you get more loot. And there's a different boss at the end. Once you beat that, then you go to chapter 3, and again, enemies are a little bit harder. They have more abilities, and you get better gear and better drops. So it's kind of how they do the difficulty progression in the game. So it's kind of like almost like little bits of kind of like an idle like clicker game, although you're not really clicking anything. It's little bits of like roguelike in there, a little bit of like card deck management stuff. Because once you build certain buildings in your town, that unlocks different types of cards you can use, but you can only like want to bring so many in, so you can go and change which ones are actually in the deck before you like leave for another run. And I've just been having fun like throwing on some music and just playing it because you don't have to like pay super attention to it, and you can always pause it if you want to. So it's just kind of a zone out kind of game that's been fun to play.
Huh, yeah, sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, you should check it out.
Yeah.
Although I got rid of it has like a CRT filter like thing on it that makes my eyes hurt, so I turned that off immediately. So like, oh hey, now it's clean pixel art and it's not bending it. Nice.
Yeah.
Because it puts like a bunch of like the little CRT like kind of lines across it to make it kind of look more like you're looking at a CRT screen, so you could see the giant pixels or what have you. So it's just like, nope, don't want that. Get rid of that. But yeah, it's another one. I'm not sure how big the team is. I think it's a small team for this game too, kind of like Valheim was. It's just another kind of example of a game of hitting at the right time that people are paying attention to it, and it's doing something just enough different that everyone's like, yeah, we want to play that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, at least it wasn't like covered up by Valheim too much. That it.
Well, it's a very different game. So like Valheim, you have to pay attention. Like once you've built out a decent enough base, you could be in your base and like doing things in there in Valheim and being okay probably. But if you're running around, you can't just like walk away and go grab a drink or something and come back without like logging out, because something will probably run up on you and kill you or whatever. It's not super intense like some other survival type games are, but yeah, you still have to pay attention when you're playing Valheim. You can't just zone out. Loop Hero, you can just kind of like pay attention to it as much as you want and just kind of chill while you're playing it, relax.
Yeah, those are a lot of times the best games. Just the ones that you can just chill out to.
So yeah, like Loop Hero, you also have different classes you unlock too eventually. So I've got you start with Warrior. I've got a Rogue that you can do, and when you do that, it changes some of the mechanics. Mm-hmm. And so like it also changes what gear you can equip. So the Warrior that you start with, you do sword, shield, and like armor and boots, I think. I can't remember if that's correct or not. But then like the Rogue, you can do 2 weapons, but no shield. And you have different stuff. And then eventually you get like, hey, here's a cool like card you've unlocked that lets you equip 1 more gear slot, but your gear your drops start out slightly like less good quality. So I don't know. It's just a lot deeper than you might expect with just all the stuff that's in there. It's really cool.
Yeah, sounds really cool.
I've also started doing, because I wanted to be more active a little bit, I started playing Ring Fit Adventure.
I love it.
Cool.
I love that game so much.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking a lot about it. Man.
It's really well put together. It's just like the presentation's good, just how it like makes you warm up and stretch and cool down and do all these things. And it's like, hey, you're unlocking different, powers, but the powers are, different exercises you're doing to damage, the monsters and stuff. And it's just very fun, kind of cartoony, bright presentation. It's like, hey, it's fun. You should exercise. Hey, you've been working hard. Maybe you should quit for today. Do you want to quit? And just, I don't know. It's very, very well put together package. And, it actually is a decent workout too if you want to put the time into it. You can change difficulty levels in it, and so make it easier on yourself or harder or whatever.
Have you tried the music portion of it yet? Because they added like a rhythm mode and like a update.
No, I've only done the adventure mode so far because I've just been like, hey, I want to go through this map, do few tiles a day or whatever. And okay, I'll unlock the boss and do that the next day because I'm too tired to do the boss fight now.
The rhythm portion's a lot of fun. Like they have, just music both from the game, then as well as other games. So like you have stuff from Breath of the Wild, then you have the Mario Odyssey theme.
Oh, nice!
Awesome, I love doing that one.
I mean, they don't even need music from other games really, because the music in the game itself is really good. Yeah. And it does have a lot of times when you're in like the monster fights, there are some of just the moves you're doing that are kind of rhythm based a little bit. So like you have like the key in the music too, like you're doing it on the beat and stuff. So yeah, I can see why they'd put that as a mode. Or some of the mini games you unlock too, kind of are a little bit rhythm based.
Yes.
Like break all the crates. See how many points you get in, like 60 seconds or whatever it is. There's a bunch of different ones like that too that are different than just the regular kind of levels where you're jogging through them and then fighting monsters every once in a while. I just unlocked the rowing power, so I can go over deep water now.
Okay. It's hard. Oh my lord, the rowing. Like, I get so exhausted after a while. Like when the moment you put me through boats or you want me to walk in through like heavy water, it's like, oh my god. But I love everything about that game though. It's so immersive and the workouts are fantastic and it's just so much fun and like just the way they handle the quests and stuff like that and just the layout, like the UI is fantastic. Everything about it is just so beautifully done.
And they do a good job of mixing it up too. So like you're not just like you'll be jogging for a bit and then like, oh, you hit a hill with a backwards treadmill, so you have to run faster in order to go up it, or you're on stairs, so you have to lift your knees, or you're in deep waters, you have to lift your knees more.
Yeah.
And like, whatever magic they're doing with the Joy-Cons to detect it all actually works really well. So
cool. I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and I know especially during COVID and the lockdown and stuff like that. It was really hard to get because a lot of people were.
I bet,
were buying it to use it. So of course.
I was like, I bought it. I think sometime in the fall, like late fall or something, and then just didn't, put it in the Switch for a long time for whatever reason, and then like half forgot that I had it, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, I have that. I should be a little bit less of a slob and go like start using it.
Granted, I haven't played in a few months, but every time I do play it, though, you just have so much fun. Like you feel great. Well, granted, you're exhausted, but you feel great, and then you have a great time like playing it too. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just a fun way to give yourself some motivation if you needed to do some stuff.
I like it much better than than Wii Fit. Like Wii Fit was cool, but like this is like it feels more like a genuine game where Wii Fit just felt more just like a workout companion.
Yeah, definitely. Like Wii Fit was more quote serious or whatever, where it's like here where you're doing the exercise thing that just happens to be on a game console, whereas this is very much like a game presentation, but it just happens to have all this fun exercise stuff in there too, where you're getting a decent workout. Right. At least if you're doing it correctly. You could probably like take the Joy-Cons yourself and just do stupid stuff to like hack it, but that wouldn't be helping you. So as long as you're going into it with the genuine attitude, like I want to do this right, then yeah, you'll get a decent workout out.
Right.
And like there's a ton of different like exercises and stuff that they put in there. You can slot like 6 at a time or something, I think, in adventure mode, and you unlock more as you go. You get like more kind of strength-based ones, or ones that work your core, or more aerobic ones, or here's some yoga poses. Like they have a bunch of different just types of things that you can do, so you're moving in different ways and stuff.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't know a whole lot about it. I mean, I knew what it was, but that was it. I didn't see a lot of videos about it. I remember when they announced it, I just kind of went, oh, okay, and went on. But
I think the initial marketing behind it was weird because I remember them sending out a tweet where it's just like, you're not going to want to miss this tomorrow. We're putting up a video on YouTube. It's a whole new experience like you've never seen before. And everybody was like, oh my God, just losing their mind. And then, of course, you have the typical people just being like, is this a new Smash Brothers character?
Wait. Hold on, guys. Have you seen a Smash Brothers character before? Yes or no? Then it's not a Smash Brothers character. Quiet. I mean, it actually is different than anything else, and it's way more like it's much more of an active kind of way to exercise than what Wii Fit was. Wii Fit has like the board, so like, hey, you do some like push-ups or whatever, just sitting on the board doing different things that way. And it doesn't work the same because it was a static thing, whereas this is using the Joy-Con so it can do all the motion detecting, and so you're like squeezing the ring, pulling on the ring, moving the ring around while you're doing different exercises, plus you have the one on your leg so it can tell when you're like jogging or doing different things. So yeah, it works pretty well.
You're implementing body with Ring Fit Adventure where you only had that sort of what was it called, the little pad that you would step on before anyways, the
Wii Fit board.
Wii Fit board, thank you. Yeah, that thing where like it was mainly just like you weren't really doing anything unless it detected your feet. So the whole process of it just kind of registering anything was based off of your feet.
Yeah. So like the whole thing, like if you're in a level running around, if you like squeeze the thing, you shoot like a gust of air out, like a puff of air. So there's like half broken crates you can hit, and like, ooh, you get some coins, or there's some doors that you have to open by doing that. And then there's like if you pull on it, you're vacuuming in things. So if there's like some ingredients or coins off to the side of the path, you can suck them up and keep going. So it's giving you things to do while you're kind of traversing through this space, even though you're just on like a straight path. So you have to keep moving in order to keep going, but then it's distracting you by like, hey, here's some cool coins you can get, so it doesn't feel monotonous. Like, oh man, I've been going forever and not doing anything. There's always some little thing there for you to do.
Huh?
Fresh. Much like the smoothies you can make in the game. You can make smoothies in the game.
Yes, you get ingredients. You can buy smoothies, but you can also get ingredients at a certain point when you unlock it, and then you go into the menu and be like, hey, I want to make this, and then you like squeeze it out of like, it has like a little on-screen ring that has like the ingredients go into kind of like a same colored energy ball, and then you squeeze it and all the juice goes out into the cup, and it's like, you made a smoothie, good job.
All right.
It's just very kind of bright, cartoony, fun presentation.
Yeah.
So it's trying to keep it light, even if you happen to be doing a pretty heavy workout. You're not feeling terrible, like, oh man, it keeps your mood up.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Yeah, that's very good. I mean, that's neat. I've been interested to check it out, but there for a while it was just like really hard to find, and then it was just kind of like,
If you're looking for something to like keep you active and do kind of like a workout, then yeah, there's certainly worse things you could do with it. It kind of, when you first boot it up, you kind of like give it a little bit of information and like kind of that's a difficulty level for you, and then you can adjust it later if it's like too hard or not hard enough, and yeah.
Cool. I'll have to.
And the craziest thing is Ring Fit Adventure, as of next week, will be coming to Xbox Game Pass as well. So for anyone who wants to try Ring Fit Adventure, there you go. So,
right. Oh Lord. So, all right, Dennis, what have you been playing? You've got the biggest list. Eric's not here, so we needed somebody to take over the big list of things they've played this week. So.
It is technically a big list, but honestly, like a lot of it, like the titles are just very long. Like honestly, of all the games, it's a big list.
They really are. I mean, they really
Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning the Third, Junior and a Half with fries on the side.
Senior, can't forget about that.
Junior and senior all in one. Yeah.
That's a new crazy combo like Wendy's would do. You want the junior? You can't decide which one you want. We got that new junior senior combo.
Wendy's don't play by the rules.
Yeah.
So like that, they don't play by the rules, not compared to everybody else. But so like, well, first on the list was one, what we pretty much kicked off the show with was Immortals Phoenix Rise. I've been playing that again recently. It's a great game to just kind of pick up, and play every once in a while. I mean, I've noticed that game is like great for even just short sessions, which is interesting because usually games like that, if you're not 100% in it, it can get kind of either jarring or like if you take a bit of a break and you jump back, you feel overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. I don't feel that way with Immortals just because like, there's so many little things that you can do, whether it's chests or, the ambrosia or the puzzles and, and so on and so forth that like, and all the quests are like nice and like, big and marked on your map that you always know where to go. Right. And the overarching story doesn't feel like it's sort of dismantled or ruined due to pacing, just because you also have each of the zones which each have their own gods and stuff like that too, so you kind of have your own little thing happening in each area, so you can kind of just soak it all in little by little, one place at a time. So yeah, I've been playing that again recently just because I got it. I got the gold edition on PC recently because I got the gold edition on Switch, and I didn't want to get just the regular edition just because the cross save and how that works is just kind of a pain if you have a gold edition somewhere and then just transfer it over to a standard. Right. Because like if you're wearing your extra content that you got through the gold edition, it takes it all off, and then it's like there's some issues with the save files and stuff like that. I just don't want to deal with that nonsense. I want a seamless front to back. Don't want to deal with any nonsense. So, but it finally went on sale. Ubisoft has their spring sale going on right now on Ubisoft Connect. So I finally got it. I got early access to it. They sent me an email and they're like, yeah, if you buy anything, you get 20% off an additional of what it's already on sale for. Now it was already on sale for like $60, so I got 20 off of the gold edition, which brought it down to $48, which is like perfect because I wanted the gold edition. I was like, I'll buy the gold edition when it gets like somewhere else, when it gets down to around like $50. $50 is my sweet spot. That's where I want it to be. Otherwise I'll just keep playing it on Switch. And then finally that happened, and I was like, all right, done deal. So, I was able to transfer it, and everything went smoothly. I was actually playing it just before we jumped onto the podcast here. So
they need to have an expansion for that game that I would totally buy and start playing it again. Of if you just let me curb stomp Hermes every once in a while, like he'll survive because godly powers or whatever. But he's so annoying.
Yeah.
At least after like the beginning of the game is so heavy with him for like a little while there, and he's always showing up and just like talking like super fast and annoying, and it's like at some point he just kind of stays behind in an area for the most part. But man, I do not like how they characterized him in that game. It just bugs me. Like it's kind of like they're trying way too hard with like whatever humor they're trying with him is just like not working for me. Like everything else is great. Like the humor is fun with like the narration and stuff, but whatever humor they're doing with Herbie's just like it's like, oh come on, stop it. Just go away. I don't like you, you stupid blonde little idiot.
Yeah, he is very annoying.
So if they gave me DLC where I could just punch him in the face, then I would totally do that. It'd be fun.
Be all right.
I'll email my connect over at Ubisoft, and I'll be like, guys, look, so I got this great idea, right? But I'll let them know.
You'll sell at least 1 million of them.
At least one.
Yeah.
But Immortals Phoenix Rising. I mean, we talked about it so much earlier, so I won't dwell on it too much. But it's still been just a fantastic time. I love that game. I really do. It's just so good. But after that, I've been playing a lot of a game that recently got localized. It's technically been out since 2015 or 2016, and then came to Vita in 2019, but didn't get localized until literally last week on the Switch. Yeah, it's been in Japan for a while. So, but it's called Nausea, and Nausea is just this insane sort of like it's if you miss games like Zero Escape, not that this is like an escape room game, but the feeling of it and the sort of like there's someone here who's killing everybody. It's got that vibe, and same thing with kind of like Danganronpa too. Danganronpa does that a little bit too. So, but Nausea is fantastic. It's super well written. Now the game is super interesting because the game technically only lasts up to 15 minutes at a time. Now the game itself is not 15 minutes. It's much longer than 15 minutes. But each session of the game lasts upwards of 15 minutes because you go through what's called loops. Now, every time you finish a loop, then you start a new one, and the new loop has nothing to do with the previous loop. So, for example, once you start a loop, someone is the Nausea. Now, the Nausea, the reason why it's called Nausea is because Nausea is the name of the virus, right? It's like this life form that can take this sort of form of someone else, and you basically have to find out who's the imposter on board. So a little bit kind of like Among Us meets like Phoenix Wright,
Can we call this John Carpenter's Nausea? Just for fun.
So a little bit of
I thought of like The Thing is what was the first thing that popped in my head.
Right, a little bit of The Thing, but it's kind of like that, honestly, and it's so cool. Like you have all these great characters, a slew of like just a bunch of characters, and the art is like really what makes it for me. It's just how gorgeous this game is. It's super unique, and just the sort of like all the sci-fi elements, and basically how it works is it looks like a visual novel, and it is technically, but there's a lot more gameplay elements to it than a typical visual novel would have. So something like Zero Escape, right, where you actually are going to be interacting with everybody, talking to everybody, trying to get people's testimonies and stuff like that, and you're doing all of that within 15 minutes. So it's almost like these rapid fire, almost like courtroom sessions where you're just trying to get everyone's testimonies and be like, did you do it? Did you?
Does Phoenix Wright ever show up?
Yeah, exactly.
Might be DLC actually,
Sure.
but at the moment though, it's been fantastic. I've put a couple hours into it already, and it's it's really just super, super unique. I mean, it definitely borrows ideas from other stuff, so it's not, nothing we haven't seen before in terms of vibe, but just the utilization and how they go about the presentation and the gameplay and stuff like that, and just the fact that they make everything 15 minutes, so that way you can also make it bite-sized. You don't have to binge on it. I honestly wouldn't recommend binging on it, but man, it's such a unique and really great time with a great cast of characters. And yeah, while you're just talking to these people and you try to figure out who the Nausea is, and then if you don't figure it out on the day, you don't have to figure it out right away. It's each day until basically either everyone dies or you die, and otherwise it just keeps going. And you have these people called engineers, which can basically help spot out the Nausea a little bit more. They're the ones that can kind of do body scans on people, and they're just like, oh yeah, it's this person. But then there's other people who would be like, oh yeah, I'm the engineer, but then they're lying. They're not really an engineer, so you still have to really debate, and just be like, no, I'm different from that person. Sometimes there's more than one Nausea, and it gets crazy. It gets crazy. You don't know who's telling the truth, who's lying. It's really well written.
Surprise! You were the Nausea the whole time.
I don't think I've gotten to that point yet where I've been a Nausea, honestly, but I have been an engineer, and then there's also these things called guardian angels, because if you don't figure out who the Nausea is, what happens is when everybody goes to sleep that day and wakes up, someone always ends up, more often than not, someone always ends up getting killed. So so you keep having those numbers dwindling. So you want to figure out as quick as possible who the Nausea is. But yeah, usually it doesn't take more than 15 minutes, and yeah, it's just super unique and super, super well done. And it's finally localized. I mean, it's been, this game's been around now for years and years in Japan, and now the rest of the world can enjoy it. Critically acclaimed in Japan, so it was kind of a big deal when it got announced that it was being localized. It had a big cult following. Obviously, it's not super well known or anything, but it's not up there with Steins Gate or anything. But for the following that it did have and all the reviews, it was just perfect scores everywhere. So,
yeah, that's crazy. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, most people, honestly, I didn't even hear of it either until I saw it in the direct that was last month or whatever the their return was after a year and a half. I think that's where they announced it, and it looked. I was like, oh my god, whatever that is, I need it. And yeah, no, it's been really, 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 really great so far. So. But yeah, speaking of great so far, still playing Bravely Default 2. Still just an amazing, fantastic game. I'm probably going to be playing that one for quite a while. I mean, it is a long game. The first one was, actually, the two prior, Bravely Default and, of course, the Bravely Second, were both just super, super long games. But as the typical Square Enix RPG, that's kind of what you go in expecting at this point. So, and I'm sure it'll be the same thing with Project Triangle Strategy, which I hate that name so much, but
I mean, that's why it's a temporary name.
Yeah, it'll change.
It better be. But
they'll just call it Tri-Strat or something stupid. Make it worse somehow.
I'd rather them just call it an Octopath spin-off. Just be I don't know,
Tri-Path Traveler.
Yeah, I was gonna say Triangle Traveler. Yeah. Or something.
It's we're not getting any better.
Anything, we'll just call it underline game number 3, or 4 or whatever, because all those games have the underlines on them on their logo.
What if they did just call it underline 3?
I feel like there's a movie or a game that's done that before, where they're just
I'm sure there is. It would not surprise me. I'm sure there is.
There's got to be somewhere. But I've still been playing that. That game is still just really, really just a solid RPG experience. I think it's one of the best the Switch has at the moment, as well as just probably one of my favorite RPGs to come out in the last couple of years. I wish I could put more time into it, but it's just all these games that we constantly have to review. It's kind of hard to dump hours that I would like into it, but it's still just been a fantastic experience. In addition to that, though, speaking of RPGs, now this one's a little bit old. This one is Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. I've been playing that as well. Now that game doesn't come out for another 3 days, I believe, or maybe it's already out. I'm not.
It's
sure.
out, I believe. I believe it's out. I think it came out Friday.
Maybe
on Switch, anyways. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out on Switch, I think,
Yeah.
Friday. It came out the other day.
Cool. So I've been playing that. That's been a really, really good time. It's having played it on Xbox One X, you see a big difference. Now it's still remastered and stuff like that, so you still get all the DLC content and stuff like that, but it feels more in line with just the original version than it does with the remaster. Where like I remember when I'm like playing on my One X, playing on the 4K TV with HDR, 60 frames a second. I mean, it was I mean, not that the game got like a big graphical overhaul. It's still it just got cleaned up and polished,
Yeah.
but the colors were very, very vibrant, and it was still very pretty to look at. It wasn't photorealistic by any means, but artistically and visually, it was still very, very pleasing to look at.
I mean, that game's not photorealistic in the first place. It's very much kind of, I don't know what. Cell shade. It's not really cell shade. It's cartoony almost, but not like kid cartoon, like young adult cartoon. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, it's very stylized.
So, very stylized, exactly. So, but even so, like I mean, it's awesome having a game like that. As a as like a portable game now. On something like the Switch.
Okay, cool.
And it fits really well. It's a blast to play through, and it's I mean, it's not doing anything groundbreaking. It looks like your sort of cliche sort of fantasy medieval game, but if you're missing that sort of experience that you would get from like Fable or Dragon Age and stuff like that, Kingdoms of Amalur is going to be your best friend.
A lot more Fable than Dragon Age. It's not like Dragon Age at all, really.
Yeah, it's a lot more Fable than Dragon Age. That's true.
I think that game's. Go ahead, John.
I haven't played the re-reckoning of it. I played the original. I bought the re-reckoning on Xbox, but I haven't popped.
It's like I'm pretty sure re-reckoning is just like, yo, it's the game. It's just slightly cleaned up.
Yeah. That's the bulk of it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like everything more or less feels the same. It's not anywhere near as muddy though. Like it is really pretty to look at, actually.
Yeah.
So
I think that game suffered from being overhyped, and then the team making it being over ambitious for the amount of experience they actually had on making it, and like it turned out to be a good game, but it wasn't as amazing as like it was kind of hyping up to be when it came out. So
at the time, like EA was publishing it, so I'm sure they had them like breathing down their throats,
probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now with the re-reckoning, that was published by THQ Nordic because they bought the rights to it. So I'm sure, and with re-reckoning, I mean, it is a remaster in the purest sense of the word, where it's just like, hey, it's cleaned up, it's running on modern hardware, so okay, there you
we
go.
upped the resolution on it and maybe a few textures, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But credit where credit's due. I mean, it's a fun game. Don't fix what's not broken. Obviously, I mean, it could have looked nicer, but just thinking of it as a, something that you can have on the go now. It's really just a quality title to have for that. So, but yeah. In addition to that, I have been playing a little bit different. Story of Seasons: Pioneers of Olive Town. That one actually comes out really soon, but I think we're allowed to talk about it now, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk.
Yeah, it's like, isn't it like early April? I can't remember. I looked it up at one point and forgot what the release date was.
It should be March, but if it's not,
just like
23rd, probably the next Friday, probably.
Like imminent. There you go. The release date is imminent.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about it. So it's because I know last time we did the podcast, I was talking about I was playing Friends of Mineral Town. I was playing a lot of that basically to help kind of research as like a research thing for Pioneers of Olive Town. And Pioneers of Olive Town is like a big step forward in terms of like this series. I mean, I know Story of Seasons, for those that don't know, if you used to love Harvest Moon, chances are you're loving
You mean when Harvest Moon was good and then someone decided, no, we don't want you guys to have that name anymore, so you can go back to Story of Seasons, which was what it was in like Japan or something originally, wasn't it? Because it was only Harvest Moon in the US, I think.
I think so.
So
That's right.
Yeah, whatever's called Harvest Moon now is not what Harvest Moon was back in the day.
Yeah, especially since like the original team, like, and the creator of Harvest Moon, like Natsume, I don't know, something happened where they split. Like the dude was just like deuces, and he just like and founded his own studio, and now is being published through Marvelous and Xseed, so instead of Natsume. So that's where Story of Seasons is now. So if you want more Harvest Moon, chances are you're playing Story of Seasons now, because the new Harvest Moon is Harvest Moon only by name, because it is not what it used to be.
Right.
Or you're playing Stardew Valley.
Yeah, or you're playing
the best Harvest Moon game ever made. Even though it's not Harvest Moon.
Yeah, right. But yeah.
But it is, because that's one person saying, hey, I really like this, but they don't make these anymore. Let me do it. And then succeeding amazingly. Like, that game's nuts.
But with Pioneers of Olive Town, like, you can tell right away, like, the style, like, the art direction is much more different. Like, it's much more adult. It's extremely accessible. I think the game is great. It mixes, speaking of Stardew, it actually mixes a lot of elements that Stardew and Animal Crossing did, actually. And it just makes it really, really accessible, and just kind of blends a lot of great ideas together, but still feels and plays like a Story of Seasons games, so it doesn't feel like it's like blatantly copying anything. It just feels like it's, that's a good idea. Let's do our version of that. So kind of like borrowing ideas kind of that way. But the town is great. The story's super cool. There's cutscenes all over the place. So it kind of keeps things constantly fresh and alive. Now that's not to say it's perfect. It's far from perfect. Like, some of the loading times are egregious. Like, my God, like, you have to load in everything you go into, whether you're going into a home or a dungeon or a mine or whatever, and like a store, a new town, anything. You have load here, load here, load here, load there. And like, from what I've heard, now I haven't seen anything yet with the North American version. Chances are they probably have a day one patch to address that, but they've been patching the hell out of this game in Japan. And because the game came out in the beginning of March, I want to say March 3rd. So it'll be about 3 or 4 weeks by the time we get it, so almost a month. And there's been a big, really just quality of life things of just, it's nothing game breaking that's been happening in the game, because the game itself is good, but just little technical issues where it's just like, really, man, like, you could help with the frames a little bit, you could help with the loading a little bit. There's a lot of weird things, like there's no character art in this anymore, which is a problem, because a lot of people, it's hard to tell what people's emotions are. Because everyone's just kind of like dead in the eyes sometimes, unfortunately. So
and that's the secret. Everyone is just zombies.
Yeah. Those are the true pioneers. There you go.
Yeah.
But the game has, I would say a lot more pros than cons. Early impressions, in terms of like North American impressions, have been kind of mixed at the moment, but I would say there's more pros than cons. Again, the game is far from perfect. It's not going to be Stardew, it's not going to be Animal Crossing, but for what it's worth, it's a step in the right direction for Story of Seasons, because just having played Runs of Mineral Town, and then having played the spin-off, the Return to Papa LaCroix, before that on 3DS, this game is, granted that was more of an RPG, this game is, definitely a big step to me in the right direction, what I would want out of a farming sim personally. So
I just looked it up. It is the 23rd, so it's just a few days.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So yeah, and then I'll have a full review on that pretty soon. Actually, I think it is going to go up on the 23rd, but I'll just elaborate on this. It's very long. It's almost 3,000 words, so it's. I wrote a lot about it, so I'm just kind of giving the more summarized approach. That way we're not here for 3,000 hours. So, but if you're looking for that next big farming sim to really just kind of really enjoy, get it. Absolutely, absolutely get it. I think it's if you're feeling fatigued from Animal Crossing, or Stardew isn't cutting it, or you just want something new to play, Pioneers of Olive Town is going to be your your next best friend for a little bit. So I highly recommend it as of now. So yeah. After that, I have been playing also on the Switch. We were talking about Picross before we got on the stream here, and I was saying that lately I've been playing, actually the last 2 days, because it was kind of a surprise release. Just started playing Hatsune Miku Logic Paint S, which is actually a Picross game, but of Hatsune Miku. They announced it, I want to say a couple months ago, but and they didn't announce, but they announced the Japanese release, but nothing on like the Western release. And then all of a sudden, like on Friday, like I think it was yesterday or Thursday, it might have been Thursday with the eShop update. All of a sudden, it's like bam, yeah, it's just right there. A surprise release. So of course, me being me, had to download it right away. I love Miku, so I had to get it, and it's also got a launch discount as well for like 20% off. So instead of like 14, it's like or 30% off. I don't know. Instead of 14, it's like $10. So I was like, yeah, of course. So why not? So I've been playing that, and it's Picross. You just gonna have your number, more or less kind of guess and use logic, of course, to sort of you know basically fill in the squares and then eventually make up a nice pixel image at the end of it. So but everything's very Miku themed, so everything that you do is you're going to have her headphones, maybe someone's outfit, something that's a microphone will be one of them. And there's a lot, there's over like 350 puzzles, like my god, like there's a lot. So yeah, and then each puzzle that you do unlocks like artwork, and there's beautiful artwork, tons of artwork from just a variety of artists, and kind of celebrating Miku, and yeah, it's really awesome to see. So 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 yeah, I've been playing that, and yeah, it's just, I mean, it's Picross. I mean, it's not much to really explain out of that. It's Picross, but with a Miku twist. And
I mean, there's a reason there's
really
so
some good
many
reason.
Picross games though, because it's a good like type of puzzle game. So
Right.
keep making them, man.
Yeah,
You can
it's
you can
excellent.
theme it to whatever you want, like whatever pixel art you can make. There you go, make a puzzle out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
And then lastly,
Oh yeah, I didn't see the last one there. Sorry, go ahead.
or yeah, I know it's a tiny, because this one didn't have a long name. That's why.
Yeah, it threw me off.
Oh man, it's too short.
Too short.
One word and a number. What's that?
Yeah, what's that all about?
Keep that in mind next time. I just be like, you know what? I don't say what you're playing if it's got a short name. It's not a real game if it's got a short name.
Or you could just add fake subtitles to it if you wanted. So it could be like Dirt 5 Stressful Driving Simulator. Something.
Yeah.
I'm playing Dirt 5 Stressful Driving Simulator on PC. Been playing that available through Xbox Gamepass, actually, just like Ring Fit Adventure is, and it's been awesome, man. It's Codemasters is doing what Codemasters does now. Granted, if you played Dirt in the past, it's more Dirt.
Right.
It's not doing anything groundbreaking, but because this is sort of the first, if I'll do it in quotations, next gen racing game, it's cool to kind of see everything they do. Then I say that in quotations because it is still available on Xbox and PS4.
Right.
And, it's but they definitely were marketing it as just like, look at this next gen racing game, because they had it on all the Series X presentations and stuff like that. So but I've been playing it on PC. It's cool. It's cool. It's more Dirt, but so if you enjoy the other ones, I think you'll enjoy this one's got a super clean interface. Feels great to play. The cars are cool. But it's again, it's Dirt.
Yeah.
It's Dirt. So not to say it's trash. It's just the name of the game is Dirt.
No,
so,
yeah. It's just there's not much you could say. It's not that they've been, they don't change that much of it year after year. Tracks, graphics,
right.
But
exactly.
It's not like it's there's.
Well, it's the same as like Forza or Gran Turismo or any other like major like Need for Speed. You pretty much know kind of what you're gonna get as far as like how the driving works, that type of stuff, and they do that on purpose because different people prefer different styles of games. So if you are coming to Dirt 5 and know what you're gonna get, great. If you're coming to Dirt 5 and suddenly it's a platformer, you're like, wait, what? You don't want to do that. Start again.
Change that for what's that all about?
Well, yeah, but also like it kind of gives them an identity too, So
yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's everything I've been playing.
Cool. Well, let's jump into some of the news stuff here.
News.
To hit on. PlayStation VR 2 controllers were revealed. These things look really cool.
Great.
Yeah, they kind of look like. Well, they look like VR controllers. Kind of like what you see on PC with the cool.
Yeah, so they kind of like have a weird shell that wraps around, kind of. Although I can't unsee it now because some gaming podcast called it hand thongs.
Oh, what the one that I can't unsee it is? Did you see? Do you remember the old logo for the Sony Ericsson?
Yep.
Oh yeah. I
That's
can see
the
that.
same
Yeah.
design. So that's what it looks like.
If you hold it at the right angle,
if
yeah.
you hold it at the right angle, it's the Sony Ericsson.
I'm excited that it's got the kind of the haptic feedback and kind of adaptive trigger stuff that the PlayStation 5 controllers have, and I think you could do some cool stuff with that in VR.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see if Sony. I'm going to guess they will come with the VR headset, or will they be an extra controller that you buy for the VR headset?
It depends on how they want to do it, because a lot of like other VR things, you can buy them in different ways. You can buy just controllers, you can buy just a headset, you can buy a pack of them together, and they just have different packages of it. I'm gonna guess that's possibly what Sony will do, but them being a console manufacturer, they might not want to do that. They might want to keep it simple and just have one thing, but then they're going to sell controllers separately anyway, because what if yours break, you want to buy just a controller.
Yeah. I'm just curious to know if they actually are going to bundle those with the VR headset, or
I mean, we don't know yet.
Yeah,
we'll know when they slowly reveal that info.
And then the
I don't know. It
question will
seems
be, how much will they be?
Yeah. Well, it's cool because it's very much on par with other VR controllers where it's got finger tracking and some other stuff. Whereas, it's like PSVR one just had like the Move controllers. You can only do so much with that. So that's cool. I think it's the first thing that they're showing for me to go like, ooh, okay, interesting. So if the headset itself has some decent specs on it and the price is decent, I might end up wanting to pick it up. Just because if I can get it cheaper than like I could for like VR for my PC, because I could run, I could get a Valve Index. It's just expensive. So it's like if they can hit that sweet spot where it's going to have better fidelity than the first PSVR, but be a lot cheaper than most other kind of high-end VR things, then I think that's kind of where they should probably aim it. I don't know if that's what Sony thinks they're going to aim it for, but I don't know.
That's kind of what they did. That's kind of what they said with the VR that they brought out on the PS4. They aimed the price low because, they didn't want, their console.
What was the resolution on PSVR, the original one? Like the screens in front of your eyes?
Hang on, I'll let you know because I don't remember.
It was like 360 on each side because it was not high. Like, you get a heavy screen door effect on
let's see. PSVR has a 5.7-inch OLED panel that displays a resolution of 1080p.
Oh, 1080. Wow. Okay.
The headset has a so 1080.
I think that they probably will do similar to kind of like the headsets that have like the 4K, basically perceived 4K resolution, and could do that still fairly cheaply. Because there's some, cheap headsets out there that still have like 4K in them.
Right.
And so it's, as long as they can get, like the panels and other parts for it, I guess it just depends on like kind of what tech they're trying to pack in there. Yeah. And I'm going to I think it's like a 1% chance they're going to go for a wireless design. I think it's still going to be something you have to plug into the console.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Yeah,
unfortunately, it's just not quite far enough, I think, for them to want to do wireless, because you just wouldn't have the same kind of fidelity that you could get with like the stream of data.
That will be the VR2. Whatever
VR2
the
Lite.
Yeah, the next.
Call it Lite.
Yeah, the next gen. How they'll upgrade it before the PlayStation 5.
But just look at how they've been, positioning PS5 as like, oh, it's next gen. Look at all this cool hardware we've packed into it. I'm expecting them to do something somewhat similar with this too, just to take advantage of what the PS5 can do versus what PS4 can do. Right. And there's just some built-in stuff of like, hey, the PS5 has a lot faster processor graphics power than the PS4 did. It has the SSD, which will be huge for just being able to do things quickly for VR. And yeah, like you'll easily be able to run any of the PSVR like fidelity of like the old PSVR on the PS5 super smoothly. So they could probably up the graphical, fidelity of some of the stuff that they're putting out. It's just, how much do they want to support it or not?
Yeah.
If they make a deal with Valve to have Half-Life Alyx on there, and this is like cheaper than me getting a Valve Index, I would probably just like snap it up, because I've been wanting to play Half-Life Alyx ever since it came out. Kind of a huge Half-Life nut, but I don't want to drop like $1,000 to get the Valve Index.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the PC to run it. I just like, oh, that's every time you look at it, you're just like, oh man, that's a huge chunk of money I should spend on something else.
Yeah.
Or save.
I'm anxious to see what PS4 VR games look like on PS5 using.
I would not be surprised if the only way you get PS4 VR titles on this is if they like do an actual re-release port of it, because the controllers are so different.
Right.
They might not actually run without, having to put some more programming work into it.
Yeah.
Maybe, but just because these controllers work completely differently than what the Move controllers would, then who knows?
Yeah,
we'll find out more as they go. Who knows when they're even planning to put this out at this point anyway, right?
Yeah,
it could be the end of this year, which I think would be dumb. I think it'd probably be like this time next year, maybe would be the earliest I would expect it.
Yeah, I would too, because they're having such a hard time getting systems out to people. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like they're going to want to have the actual console itself be the thing they're pushing for holidays again this year. So,
yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to trying out old VR games on the PlayStation 5 with I ordered the adapter so I can use mine, because I know some of those games they bumped up, even though the hardware only does 1080p. They've bumped up the resolution to the games to 4K. So, there'll be a little more fidelity. There'll be a little more.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see how it looks.
Or even it'll be smoother. Like if some of those were kind of like borderline where they barely worked on PS4, if you run them on PS5, it should hopefully you'd think run better. So
So I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be a long while before, VR2 is out. So you definitely have time to try running the original VR.
Yeah, and plus their stay at home, whatever they're calling it, the games they give away for free, they're dumping a bunch of VR games into it, I noticed this time around. So it's like, well, that's kind of weird. It's going to be Horizon Zero Dawn and a bunch of other stuff that you'll get.
Well, was it like Farpoint? It was one of the PS Plus games this month too, so
it was like, that was kind of odd. It was like, okay, I bought it anyway, but I'll do the digital, so I don't have to pop my disc in. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have PSVR, but I was like, accept it. Sure, if I ever get it, then I have it in my library.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I did with all the PS5 games. It's come on PlayStation Plus, even though I didn't have a PlayStation 5. So I'll have 2 or 3 PS5 games immediately, which is good, because I forgot first party PlayStation games are $70, and I go, I'm going to go shopping. Oh my gosh, $70! I don't.
Yeah, that's going to be a sale.
I'm going to have to wait for a sale, because I'm not going to buy that. Yeah, Gamepass and cheaper games on Xbox has kind of spoiled me. So now it's like,
I mean, luckily there's even, there's a few PS4 games that you have not played that have gotten upgrades for PS5. So you still have plenty of things to pop in and play.
It's not that I'm not going to have anything to play. It's just I'm just like, oh, well,
you're just like, man, I really wish I could make my PS5 backlog even bigger.
Yeah, let me just buy Demon's Souls, $70. I think I'll wait. It's like, PlayStation buys the Evo Fighting Game Championship Series for some reason.
Okay,
I don't know.
cool.
My favorite meme going around was, Microsoft buys Bethesda. Sony, we need to buy something. Okay, we'll buy Evo.
What can we get?
Everybody reading the comments when they announced that on Twitter was hilarious, because all these Sony people were going, wow, they bought something. That's great. I don't know what it is. It's like, well, it has nothing to do with games as far as game making. It has to do with
game tournaments.
Game tournaments,
or fighting games specifically.
It's really weird.
The ones I was seeing was all this stuff about like, well, what about Smash Bros? Because that's pretty big at Evo. So like, we still don't know, even though Nintendo sort of kind of said something, but it doesn't really mean anything.
Well, it seemed like all the games that they announced for Evo 2021 so far too are actually, which is what everyone was worried about, are all PS4 games, and then the only thing that's not PS4 is Tekken 7, which is being done on PC. That's it. Everything else that's there is on PS4 only, instead of PC or whatever else that they've done. So
It just makes me wonder why Evo would want to be bought by PlayStation. I guess it's just like, hey, our investors get money now, but it just seems weird to have like one of the platforms buy out something that, you take advantage of all platforms, right? Because fighting games are everywhere, right?
Well, the last
So,
I heard, wasn't there
yeah.
like some trouble with Evo? Weren't they like on the brink of
Could
bankruptcy
be. I have no idea.
anyway?
Maybe.
Or there was some kind of sexual
Maybe.
harassment or something going on. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. Maybe Sony bailed them out. Who knows?
Maybe. I don't know. It just seems weird that I don't know
Yeah.
why they spent the money on them when you could have. Which I know Sony's not usually one to go buy, devs, or buy companies very often. As far as they did buy Naughty Dog, they bought but
Insomniac.
Yeah, Insomniac. Yeah, but they're not like Microsoft, who's we're going to buy Bethesda. Now we're going to buy somebody else, and now we're going to
Well, like Microsoft has the whole company's profits behind them to be like, hey, can we throw some money around to buy some studios so our gaming brand can go up? And then they're like, sure, why not? We'll like shuffle some money over here, and there you go. Go buy stuff.
Yeah, it's weird. So the Square Enix spring recap. I did not watch any of this. I did see some of the tweets about the new Life is Strange.
Yes.
I watched some of it, and then I watched a couple of the bigger trailers afterwards because, like, in the middle of it, I had to, get up and leave, so I couldn't finish it. Yeah. There's pretty much a whole bunch of just like minor stuff of just like, oh, hey, we're putting out a release of the 3, Tomb Raider reboots, and here's a Just Cause mobile game, and for some reason there's a Hitman game. Even though they shouldn't have the Hitman IP, you would think, but maybe it's like not actually Hitman, but they're using the word Hitman. It was confusing.
Like it was like Agent 426. Like it wasn't even Agent 47. It was something like that. The whole thing was weird when I saw that too. But I think it's just like this spin-off that they're doing that they did for like because Square Enix Montreal, they did Hitman Go, and then I think they did Hitman Sniper. This one's called like Hitman Assassin or something like that.
Yeah, but they don't own the Hitman IP anymore, unless there's some weird kind of like thing where they can do spin-offs still. It's like, it's strange. Because like IO has all that again.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's just, it was weird.
Yeah, it was strange. But yeah, that's the Project Athena is now Forspoken.
Did you watch the trailer for that?
No.
So you remember the Project Athena trailer from way back where it was like, hey, we're running and jumping through an environment. It looks all very like super fantasy.
Yes.
It's somebody from modern day in just regular clothes doing that, apparently. But they showed off a lot more of kind of some magic in the gameplay. And there's like, hey, she's like, that's an MFing dragon. Like, just the vibe of it feels different than what I expected, but I think that makes it more interesting to me than like originally like, oh, this looks really pretty was kind of what the Project Athia first trailer was. Yeah. Whereas this one's like, oh, hey, I want to buy into this as a game. Like they still haven't really showed a ton of what the actual game is going to be necessarily, but what little they showed is like, oh, okay, you've got me interested. Like, let me see what more of what this is. It also, like, because there's a modern day kind of person and a dragon, makes me think of that one Xbox game that never came out. Crap. Yeah, Scalebound. I was like, as soon as I started talking about it, I was like, my brain was like, shoop, nope, you can't remember the name of this game that you want to talk about. Forget being, knowledgeable. No. But yeah, like not exactly the same, but just a interesting just combo because it feels like, okay, let's take a person off of modern day street who's just whatever, any normal looking person, throw them into like what looks like maybe a Dark Souls environment that's kind of dark and creepy, but then they can do all sorts of crazy cool magic and special powers and leap through the environment super fast. Like the new trailer is pretty neat. I like it.
Yeah. I have.
It also has a really, really cool title animation for when they revealed the title. It's just got some real fun interweaving, cool, magic-y spell-looking stuff that eventually shows up as the title. So the motion graphics artist in me was like, yes, I like that.
Now the Tomb Raider trilogy stuff is that like updated for 4K? Is that Did they say anything like that? Is that just, or is it
I don't
just
think that there's anything different. It's just they're
just
packaging them together.
packaging it all together? Yeah, that's what I
I
wanted.
mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Shadow probably already was 4K. Rise, I don't remember if it would have been 4K when it came out or not. So who knows? Maybe they're doing a little bit of that.
I didn't know if it was like a, they were doing like they were all remastered or something like that. I had no idea. So, like I said, I hadn't had a chance to watch it. So
it's really funny because they start talking about, hey, like it's the 25th anniversary of Tomb Raider, and like here's all this cool stuff we're doing, blah blah blah, and all the like kind of like stuff they're showing in the video is all old school Tomb Raider for the most part, and it's like, so we're putting the reboots together as a trilogy, and it's gonna be out whenever. So like, all right, sure, why not?
Why not do a new game? But
and then they're like, hey, we're doing other things later. There's also something about like there's some statue paint that they showed an in progress thing of that was like, what? Okay, sure. Big shrug, like, okay.
Okay.
I didn't know. Maybe there's some people who are way more into Tomb Raider as a franchise that was like, okay, that's exciting. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that. Project Athia getting a new name, and then the Life is Strange game is the two kind of like biggest things. Although like Marvel's Avengers is getting Black Panther. Yay, if you're still playing Marvel's Avengers, great. If you're not, you don't care.
No, now that they've updated it for Series S or for Series X, I'm gonna give it a spin again. I haven't played it since, I had that issue with the servers and everything like that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this down, go back, play something else, and I'll pick it up later. So now that the update is downloaded, I'll try it out, which will be easy for me because since it updated, all I got to do is put a disc in and boom, it's a Series X version. Unlike the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 people who have to go through hoops and ladders to get their save from PlayStation 4. I read.
You have to be very, very, very sure that you want to play it before you even start the process.
Well, yeah, because then it's like you got to upload it, and then if you then like I want this one guy, he uploaded it, it didn't download from the cloud save, so he went on his PlayStation 4 again, moved it to the USB, stuck it into the PlayStation 5. The USB didn't.
I wonder if this is actually a PlayStation 5 thing, or if it's more of just the devs on Marvel's Avengers just being really weird and how they developed it so that it doesn't work. Who knows?
I don't know, but with all of this, it's. Oh, I'm sorry, Dennis, I couldn't hear you. What'd you say? You were chopped up there.
Saying that, like, I mean, this isn't an issue on Xbox, because of smart delivery. It's just you just boot it up and
it's just there. It just works.
Well, like it's weird that there's like an issue seems to be with like the save file on PS5. So like, what about that is different than the Xbox enough that it's so convoluted? It's just nuts.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just and after reading that, and then I go in and ask and start reading about transferring saves and stuff from the 4 to the 5. It's like I don't even know now if I even want to do it. Other than I'll pop in the game. I have all my games on saved on a hard drive, and I have all my saves on that hard drive. Because the cloud save on Sony, they only give you a gig. Well, my game saves are 6 gigs just in game saves. So nothing of new is on cloud save, where Microsoft, they don't give you it's not only do they not give you, they give you unlimited space, but you don't have to have gold to have cloud saves. It's free.
Well, there's also this weird thing of like, hey, this is a games as service game. Why can't you just have it like put something on the server and then the server updates and says, hey, you logged in, great, here's all your stuff. Like that doesn't seem like it should be that difficult to do. Like maybe it is for whatever reason, but it's like, it didn't have to be this nuts, guys. Just like, come on.
Well,
besides, what's so different about the PS5 game anyway? You're upgrading what graphics you can do, like resolution textures or something. I'm sure not much else, because it's not like Avengers is that old of a game. So
it's still the same game. It's like
I would be very curious to see a breakdown of like behind the scenes of like, this is why it's this way, because it's just so strange.
It is. It's so weird. And and that's what I said on Twitter to Ryan or somebody. I was like, and this is why I went back when Microsoft got all their crap together with the the Slim and the One X, I went back to Microsoft because all this crap is just no headaches on Microsoft. They know what they know how to do it. They know what's going on. I mean, when the Series X came out, I literally set it up on my phone, logged in, and popped my hard drive from my One X over to the Series X, and it went, all right, what do you want to play? Let's go. You got to save? No problem. Let's just download that real quick. Shoot, you're good.
When they start having games on there that I might actually want to play on an Xbox, then I'll buy one. It's just right now, I'll play some stuff on my PC or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
it's so weird. So
but the box itself and all the stuff like services around it or Xbox, they're awesome.
Yeah. And it's just like, I'll buy a PlayStation 5 and I'll play my first party games that I can't play on Xbox, but everything else I'm just shoving back over to Xbox. So speaking of games that I can only play on Xbox,
hang on.
Oh, well, you got something else to say?
We haven't actually talked about Life is Strange yet.
Oh, that's right.
We got on a tangent.
I'm sorry. We went on a tangent. I forgot. Yes.
Colors here. I think that's what it is. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, like Life is Strange is a franchise I really like, and this new one looks like it'll be right up my alley. Just again, they've taken kind of like the Life is Strange art style, but just hey, we'll up the detail that we're putting in it, so it still looks like a kind of more of a next gen title than like previous ones have. And that's why it's an example in my mind of like, hey, here's something you can do that's very super detailed, but it's not photoreal. And like, there's so many people who are stuck in the mindset of like, it has to be photoreal to be amazing next gen graphics. And like, that's not true at all. It's more about fidelity. You can choose any number of art styles, and please do, because otherwise it'll get boring. Because we see real life everywhere. We don't need everything to be photoreal in games too. But yeah, it's all Life is Strange True Colors is coming out in September, and your kind of magic powers this time around are like kind of seeing the auras of people's emotions and being able to manipulate that a bit. I think something like that. Words,
It sounded like you fell down the steps when you said that.
Oh man, I'm gonna get a bruise from that one. And it's not going to be episodic. It's all coming out at once, apparently. And then as part of like the Ultimate Edition, they're doing a remaster of Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm. But I think you're also going to be able to buy that separately, maybe. But I don't think they've shown it. Did they show what the remaster is going to look like?
I don't know. I saw some tweets. I didn't actually see any video, so I don't know. Because like I said, I haven't watched the show yet.
Before it, I couldn't find anything for that.
Because, man, it's probably not going to be this, but if it looks as good as the new game, the True Colors, if they go back and add that much detail, I doubt it. They did mention something about like they're improving animations and some character models and stuff so that it'll just look better. So I would expect it probably like maybe they get it to look about like Life is Strange 2 did for the first couple games. I'll totally replay them, man. That first game especially is still my favorite.
Well, I'm thinking too, like if they're redoing all cutscenes with mocap too, then I mean, it feels like they're just pretty much redoing the game at that point. It feels
kind of. Which, so if they're going that deep into it, why not? Why couldn't it look as good as True Colors does at that point? But we haven't seen it, so who knows?
If that is the case, then I probably would be tempted to buy the Ultimate Edition, because if you buy the Ultimate Edition, then you do get. I mean, it'll be sold standalone, but it'll come with the Ultimate Edition of Life is Strange True Colors.
Yeah, like once they show what that looks like, and then I'll decide, okay, it's enough of a kind of remaster that I actually do want to replay it that way, then great, then I'll decide to buy it. Because otherwise I'll just reinstall the original version that I've got. So
too, I'm curious because those games aren't, to me, I don't think they're that old, so I wonder if there's like an upgrade path that you can do if you own the original games too. For that would be cheap.
They are that old though, especially the first one.
I suppose. I don't know. It just feels like it hasn't been that long since I played them for some
reason. I mean, they're not as old as some other things, right? But let's see.
Well,
I'm gonna look it up because I forgot.
When the original came out, 2015 maybe.
Well, the thing that was weird about the original one is that it was episodic, so it was like if it might feel different of like when you started playing it. If you started when the episode 1 came out, or did you wait till all of them were out, would feel like much more recent.
I was playing weekly.
So 2015 was when the first Life is Strange was like across kind of all of 2015, I think, was when all those episodes came out.
Oh, that's...
And then Before the Storm was in 2017. And Life is Strange 2 was 2018 and 19.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's going on, 7 years or 6 years.
So yeah, it's not super old for the original one just yet, but it's starting to get there.
Yeah.
And especially if you look at it though, like they improved things a ton between what they did for the original one and then what they did for Life is Strange 2. I think wasn't the original game in a different game engine or something as well?
Yeah,
Didn't they switch game engines at some point?
That's why it took like so long for 2 to come out or something like that. There was some reason that they switched.
Well, yeah, because 1 and 2 were the same studio, Don't Nut, and then like Before the Storm was the different studio, so that's why they kind of still came out at a fairly good clip. But yeah, I don't know. I like Life is Strange a lot, so it'll be interesting to see kind of how this comes out. And the characters in the trailer for True Colors look really cool, so I'm definitely interested in it.
Yeah, I'm interested in it too. I like the...
It seems that they're going a lot more towards Life is Strange 1 than Life is Strange 2, and that they're like, here's a setting that we're putting you in, and you're going to exist there for a while, and there's going to be a decent-sized cast of characters, whereas Life is Strange 2 was much more kind of like the road trip, so each episode was in a different spot. So it didn't feel the same as 1. It was still really good, but it didn't have like that same kind of like, here's all these characters you're getting to know, and there's all that intrigue about what's happening with all of them as you go.
Right.
Life is Strange for me is I want to get emotionally invested, you know. So
yeah.
But this one, I feel like they made it sound like it's a lot more. I don't want to say open world, but like open hub, maybe. Like you can just kind of weave your way in and out of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they have like the original Life is Strange, just kind of like you had basically the campus, and then you had a little bit in town and a little bit out of town for like smaller things. But if you kind of tied that all together, you could make kind of a little bit of a bigger area that you could just run around in. And maybe instead of being more linear, you have 2 or 3 goals you could go to in any order and be like, okay, I'm going to go talk to this person, and then I'll go talk to this person instead. Whereas someone else playing would switch the order around. Maybe that's what they're doing. Who knows?
The character looks cool too. I forgot her name. Was it Alex something?
Yes, Alex Chen is what it says here on the IGN article.
Yeah, I'm interested. I like Life is Strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I like Life is Strange. This trailer like was very interesting, so I don't even need to know more about it really to want to play it. So
yeah,
I have another game to look forward to later this year.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Hopefully it will actually come out. They're confident enough to put a date on it, whereas a lot of other games aren't putting dates.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
Or they put dates and they delayed them, like the last thing there, Gotham Knights delayed until 2022, which that's fine. I want them to take as much time as they need to polish that thing up and make it good. Because I mean,
that's their fault for trying to put a date on it when they just announced it during 2020. They should have known better anyway.
Yeah. I mean, really, but... Yeah, I want that game to be polished and awesome. So yeah, that's fine. Take all the time you need. I don't care. I'm happy to wait on it.
I'm immensely excited for that one. Yeah. But True Colors. Were you talking about True Colors not having a date? Because True Colors does have a date.
No, True Colors does have a date. Unlike other games that do not have a date. I said they were confident enough to put a date on it, so hopefully it doesn't slip that date. Was kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
Let's hope.
Fingers crossed.
So September 10th. Let's see what happens. But then, like 2 weeks before that is when Kena and Bridge of Spirits comes out. So you're gonna have 2 very stylized games around that time period. It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited. So excited.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
I mean, but I don't know that either one of them. They're not like a Ubisoft open world game that you're gonna be spending hundreds of hours in. So probably not as difficult to kind of finish those up before or next to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. So we didn't get to talk about the Bethesda merger finally became official with Microsoft, or purchase, whatever you want to call it. And Bethesda celebrated by dropping a ton of Bethesda games on Gamepass, and then a week later, a bunch of them got frame, the FPS boosts and stuff like that. So you can play I forget which ones it was. Elder Scrolls, Fallout 4.
They have Skyrim in the list called Skyrim, the super crazy Game Pass edition, because every version of Skyrim has to have some weird subtitle now.
Well, yeah, it absolutely is. But yeah, so they did a round table of Bethesda and the Microsoft guys, Phil Spencer and who else
was it? Like Pete Hines from Bethesda was the other one on there?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Was there? I think.
I didn't actually watch it. I've just heard read descriptions of it, heard podcasts talking about it. I didn't actually go to the actual roundtable thing itself. Because I didn't care all that much.
Todd Howard was there. I just watched like the beginning where they were all kind of said it went on for like an hour or something like that. But I really just watched the first 10 minutes of it when it was them kind of announcing things. And the one thing that they kind of answered. And it was
no,
funny.
They didn't.
Well, I think they did.
Lies.
No,
it's them. Here's what it is funny, because they are coming out saying like, we're gonna tell you stuff, but then they don't actually really tell you stuff, so that every single podcast and website after that is like guessing different things about what it still actually means, instead of them. And that's probably because they can't actually say specifically like, hey, this is going to be exclusive to Xbox. This is not going to be, here's a very specific thing. They can't say that yet, right? But what they did say was vague enough that everybody's saying different things about it. So that's why I'm saying they didn't really say anything at all.
I don't know. I took it as games that they are contractually they have contracts with to be exclusive or timed exclusives. They're going to honor those contracts, like Death.
Yeah, we already knew that.
Yeah, we knew that.
Yeah, that's not new.
Legacy games like Elder Scrolls and Fallout 76, those type of games, they'll continue to support those on other consoles. On other platforms.
Well, I mean, they already exist there, and they're like the online games, especially. You're not just going to suddenly like delete them.
Right.
That would be.
But I mean, Phil Spencer specifically said, they will be able to play Bethesda games wherever you could play Gamepass. So that's PC.
Oh,
Xbox,
we already know that. Like,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
It's not new information. So like they haven't really said anything, even though they said stuff. It's like. Yeah, but duh, like you're not gonna buy Bethesda and be like, you know what, we bought them and we're not gonna put any of their games on our platforms. Like,
yeah, I don't think they are. I think you're going to see Starfield is going to be an Xbox PC exclusive. The next Elder Scrolls 6, all these are going to be exclusive. They're not
probably. That's what I think is going to be, but they still didn't say that part. That's like all the other things we really already knew. The one thing that people were wondering, like, hey, can we play Elder Scrolls or Doom or whatever on our PlayStation, that people want to know yes or no to, they didn't actually say that. And so people are still guessing about it. And it's because they can't actually come out and say it, because most of those games are so far out anyway at this point,
right,
that they're just like, we can't talk about it in general.
And I don't see them not being exclusive to Xbox and Game Pass.
Yeah, me too. Like, that's where I'm thinking is like, come on, you're not going to spend that much money to just be like, all right, we can still put Elder Scrolls out there on, Sony or whatever.
Well,
probably.
It's like he said, the reason that they bought Bethesda was to have exclusive games on their platform, so I'm like, why do you even have to? Well, he just said some. Well, yeah, because he's not going to say all, because that wouldn't be true if an Elder Scrolls expansion come out or a Fallout 76 expansion come out or something like that.
I think the reason there's such a hubbub about this and people wondering what it actually means and where games might actually be, and well, maybe they'll be exclusive Xbox or maybe they won't. The only reason that's a thing is because it's Microsoft, and they have some of their stuff that has shown up elsewhere, like a couple games that went to Switch, or would Game Pass be on other platforms, all this other stuff. If Sony had bought Bethesda, or if Nintendo for some reason had brought Bethesda, we wouldn't be having these conversations. But because it's Xbox and they're the way that they've been running kind of like their platform recently, I think that's why we have all these people wondering like, well, maybe they want people to play games everywhere, right? And I think that because it's Microsoft, that's the only reason we're having any of this like kind of weirdness of people talking about it.
Oh, they will. They want you to play everywhere. And if you want to play it, you'll be playing it on a mobile device or a PC with Gamepass. That's how you'll be playing it.
Or the reason that he says that these games will be coming to Gamepass is one, it's because all the things that exist now that have Gamepass, you can play them there. But like, hey, what if in some weird, crazy, future universe they got Gamepass onto PlayStation somehow? Of course they'd let you play it there because it's on Game Pass.
Exactly.
But
will that ever happen?
Sony ain't going to let that happen unless they're in super dire straits.
Yeah. Well,
something crazy would have to happen for that.
Yeah. Well, we kind of got something crazy coming April 20th, and that's MLB The Show, made by Sony on Xbox. Holy crap. I mean...
Yeah, but that's got weird. The whole like third party thing of like Major League Baseball in it, where it's got another big huge company or organization, whatever, saying, hey, we want to sell more things, put it on all the platforms. There's no reason to keep it just there, and we never sell any.
Yeah, and if you don't,
they leaned on them a bit.
If you don't make it multi-platform, we're taking that license from you, so it can be multi-platform by somebody else. Yeah. So
it's like, hey, we're the MLB, we're gonna have a win because we have enough weight to throw around with you to say, hey, come on in.
But what I found, what's hilarious about that is I was standing over talking with a group of friends yesterday. We got to drive. We stopped over to dealership to pick up my truck, and they had one of the Mach-E Mustangs, the all-electric Mustang. So they're like, hey, you want to drive it? I'm like, yeah, I want to drive an all-electric car. I've never had the opportunity to. It's fantastic. It was so awesome to drive, and let me tell you, it'll go 100 miles an hour so fast you won't even realize you're going 100 miles an hour. But anyway, that's another story for another day. And they were, and the one guy, is a buddy of mine, he's all Xbox. He's like, the only thing I wish Xbox had was a good Major League Baseball game. I went, my friend, you're in luck. Hell hath
you know what we need now? We need a game that whatever you play it on doesn't matter, but it shows up as like PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo logos at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
What kind of weird confluence of events needs to happen? I have no idea, but that would be hilarious. I want it to happen somehow.
But the one thing that I had gotten great enjoyment out of that week was reading comments. I love going through Twitter and reading comments. I know people hate it, but I laugh at it because of some of the absurdity that people come out with different things. And when Microsoft first announced, hey, we're buying Bethesda, it was, well, the Sony people were like, well, they've got to put the games on PlayStation because they've got to recoup that money. They've got to recoup that $1 billion or $7 billion. They literally recouped it before they bought the company. And then they bought the company and said, we're going exclusive with these games. And then all the Sony people now are like, well, Bethesda games aren't that good anyway. We don't want them anyhow. It's fine. It's no big deal. It is just the most hilarious things to watch. It's like, why do you got to be that way? Why do you got to be so stupid about
that? I mean, okay, you can blame Minecraft for part of this because when they bought Minecraft, because it's Minecraft and it already existed all these places, it's like, hey, here's a thing Microsoft owns that's in, everywhere. So why can't they also do it with Bethesda? And also, I want it. The internet is always very entitled. So gonna have plenty of that.
Makes me laugh. Speaking of surprises, Outriders was announced as a Game Pass day one drop from Square Enix. That kind of caught me off guard.
Not a bad get.
No, it's not a bad get. And if it's a loot shooter like Destiny, Division 2.
Did you play the demo at all?
I have not. I have it downloaded. I have not played it. Did you like it? Was it?
I liked it apart from technical quirks. Wouldn't even call it an issue because like when I was playing on PC, so like when you're actually in the gameplay, it was like whatever frame rate that my PC could put out. But anytime it hit a cutscene, even in engine cutscenes, it was locked to 30 frames a second. And it was so jarring to be like, hey, I'm going like hundreds of frames a second, and then all of a sudden just like 30 frames a second. I was like, oh man, my eyes hurt now. So I kept going back and forth. I was like, oh. At some point, I kept skipping the cutscenes. Plus, is like this. It's very because it's the intro of the game, basically what you're playing through. So it's kind of like, hey, once you get through all this like story heavy cutscene stuff that honestly probably doesn't even matter, and they could have shortened it by an hour and it would have been fine to get you to the actual part of the game where like, oh hey, here's where you pick the class of character that they keep talking about and all the gameplay stuff. Because at first you don't have any of those powers. It's not like, because you kind of like land on this planet and some stuff happens and then like there's like a weird storm or something, and because of that you get your powers from that, and then you're like put into hibernation for, I don't know, 50 years or whatever it is, and you wake up and like, oh, everything's gone to crap and there's so many, factions or, fighting with each other, and there's kind of a war going on, and you're gonna stride out of the middle of that with your cool powers and do, looter shooter questing things.
Yeah.
But the actual game itself, when you're playing, like at least on PC, like the mechanics of it was fun. It wasn't anything like new feeling, but the shooting felt good, and moving around and you take cover kind of. So you could see it. It doesn't even feel like, because People Can Fly has sort of almost like a Gears of War ish kind of background to it, because they worked on some of those. They also did the Bulletstorm before. But yeah, this is like, you're very much kind of like running around kind of like you would in Gears, and then popping into cover and shooting, but then you have all of your powers on top of that, so depending on what class you pick, it will play very differently. I haven't decided if I'm going to buy it yet or not, but if I do, I'll probably play the Trickster class, I think it was called, that you teleport and do kind of cool, fun movement powers. But yeah, there's also like Pyromancer, then there's a class that's very much like a big tank character where you're just sitting absorbing damage a lot and doing some other things, and I forget what the fourth class is. But yeah, like it looks pretty good as far as like art style goes. The story, from what little I saw of it, was just kind of dumb. But so is like Borderlands isn't exactly the serious either, and it's still a fun game. So it's like, it'll probably be good. I'll be interested to see kind of like what the reviews on the full game are, but it seems people are enjoying the demo.
And I think it's smart for Square to say, hey, let's put it on Game Pass on Xbox, because, you're opening yourself up to 18 million people right there.
Yeah. I don't even remember if it's cross-platform or
I
not.
don't know if it is or not either. Let me look here real quick. I want to say it's probably not, but...
Yeah, I don't remember hearing anything saying that, but, if it was, even the fact that there's people on Game Pass getting it would, if it is cross-platform, then that would be good for everybody, but I don't know if it is or not.
Cross-platform game yet? I'm not sure if they have.
I have no idea. I was just kind of spitballing out loud, just like I have no idea. I haven't looked into it.
Let's see here. Yeah, I really haven't looked at it.
But yeah, like John, I'm going to guess it's probably not cross-platform at all.
According to Windows Central, it says Outriders supports cross-play with your friends on other platforms. Here's how to do it.
Okay. I mean, I could see that between like PC and other platforms, but I don't know if like Xbox and PlayStation will get hooked into the same pool or not.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a co-op game. It's not like a big multiplayer game. It's like, hey, hook up with your few friends and play it. It's not like a Destiny or something like that.
Apparently, you have to go in and actually enable it in the settings.
That's how some of them are. They default to just being on your own platform. You can opt in, especially for something like this. You don't want to opt in with like your friend on PC.
Right.
Cat shenanigans in the background. You don't want to be on like against with mouse and keyboard stuff, and then you're never gonna kill anything because your friends just like snipe at everything before you can get there.
Right. Yeah.
But for a game like this, it doesn't matter as much because it's not competitive. It's very much a PvE kind of a game.
Right. Yeah. So I don't think the PvP, there is a PvP, but I don't think that it's cross-platform. But I think the story is. So
it's an interesting setup. Like I've watched a few of their kind of like gameplay explanation videos that they've put out before of like just kind of what they're planning for. Here's what the game's like. Here's kind of like what you do after you beat the campaign. All that stuff. They've been very put a lot of that information out there. So there's plenty to look at and say, yes, I want to play this or no, and then just wait for reviews to come out when it comes out in like another like 2 or 3 weeks or something. I think it's very early April.
It's not, it's early April.
Something like that. Yeah.
I was interested in it. I downloaded the demo. Of course, I haven't had time to play it, and the other night I was like, oh, I'll try to play this. No, wait, I'm on hotel Wi-Fi. No, I'm not going to try to play it. It was like,
well, like unless if you had it already installed, that'd be fine. It's not an internet game.
Yeah.
Unless you're actually playing with someone else. But
Right.
yeah, if you're playing solo, it's just local.
Yeah. So I hadn't tried it out yet, but it interested me. And then it was like, oh, well, it's coming to Game Pass. I'm like, oh, well, I won't buy
There you
it,
go.
and I'll just download it and play it when it comes out. If I don't like it, that's what's funny. Well, that's the end of our news since we already kind of talked about the Gotham Knights being delayed.
Till 2022, which I'm gonna guess probably fall 2022.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a whole year, and that's fine. Like I said when we were talking about it, I want that game to be polished and I want it to be good.
Yeah, I don't remember what studio is working on that one.
I don't remember either.
But the kind of gameplay demo thingy that they showed when they revealed it was like, hey, this looks cool.
Yeah, it looked really cool. So, and I'm all about anything Batman, even if Batman's not really in it.
Batman's totally going to be in it, even if it's just like an add-on DLC pack down the line, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But still, either way, I'm cool. Anything in the Bat universe, I'm cool with.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not playing Batman, there's going to be people who have Batman moves.
Yeah, but it's like it was hilarious. I bumped into the Sony rep in Pittsburgh the other day. I didn't even know Sony still had reps that came out to the stores. She was replacing the PS5 that was on demo because it had burned up and burned out. So she had to.
Oh no!
She had to replace it. And
did they not have it ventilated or something?
Okay, here's the way it works. You've seen. Okay, the one that I can remember the best is you remember the old PlayStation 3 kiosks where it had the system under the glass case, and you could go in with the controls. That system that was in the glass case was a dummy system. It wasn't real. The actual system was in the back in a small box with some PC fans in a metal box about just wide enough to slide the system in, so it would burn up and the rep would have to come out, replace it, and in about 6 months it would burn up again. Well, when the Switch came out, Nintendo stopped doing that. Their little kiosks that they had that were showing videos in the store was actually Raspberry Pis with videos running on them. They weren't actually Switch consoles. Well, come to find out, if your store, Target or whoever, has a display with a PlayStation 5 in it, it's a dummy unit that you see. The real unit is in a small box behind the thing with a couple fans in it.
A large box.
Yeah, a large box. But just big enough to fit it in there. Literally with two PC fans about this big.
That is not going to work for that. Oh my goodness.
They are still doing it that way. That's the way they did it.
It's not
going to
work for
anything,
let alone just like the PlayStation 5, which definitely needs to have airflow.
Yeah, so it literally, she was literally replacing it because it melted it. I mean, it was just dead. It wasn't working. And it's not playing games. You're not picking up a controller and playing games.
Yeah, but it's still on all the time. So,
But why are you using a PlayStation 5 just to play gameplay footage? Don't put something else in there. Put a Raspberry Pi. Put a laptop computer, something. A PC.
Put a DVD player.
Yeah, something. If you're just showing video, who cares? Why are you putting a whole system in there? So I was like, are you?
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, and I was like, I said, are you guys still putting? And of course, I explained to her, I used to work at GameStop, I used to work at Circuit City. I've seen all this stuff. I was like, I did not realize that Sony was still putting full retail console units in those things. She's like, yeah. I said, does it play any games? She goes, with COVID? No. So we don't have a controller out here for people to touch. We don't want to spread that. She says, it just plays videos all day. I went, that thing stays on for 12 to 15 hours a day just playing a DVD, a 4K DVD on a TV.
I'll be real. Like most stores, it's on 24/7 because they're not going to bother to turn it off.
Yeah. Well, we always had even at Target when they shut off the lights and
it
shut
master
all down.
switch. Yeah, that'd be the only way. They're not going to go try and get into that like little box and turn it off.
Oh, no,
dig up the controller that's not connected and shut it down. Like, no, they'll just leave it there.
No, I mean, but It's like, wow, I did not.
And even that's not going to be good
available.
for it too, because if it's just sitting there on all the time and then it just gets shut off without being properly shut down, that's going to cause issues over time.
And it sits
so
there
bad, man.
It sits there in its heat for, you know.
Not to mention just the cost of all that, like just actual retail systems going to all those kiosks when you could do it much more cheaply.
Oh yeah, and then to send her out and mail a new one to replace it, and then she has to send that one back to get refurbished, and then they'll send it out to another store to let it burn up, and then send it back, and then let it burn up, and then send it back, and then let it. It was like, I cannot believe that you're still doing this. It's an old, antiquated way of doing things. If it was if the controller was out and you could actually play it, then fine. You know, I understand that. You know, you got to have a real system in there playing the games, but not even having the system was so weird. It was just weird. I don't know. But so we were talking, and I told her that I hadn't got a place at that point. I hadn't got a play. That was Monday. I hadn't got a PlayStation 5 yet. I said, but I got a Series X, and and this and that and that. And this. And she goes, well, she said, did you have a Xbox and a PS4? Yeah. Well, which one did you like better? I said, well, I started out liking the PS4 better, but now I like the Xbox. I like the Xbox better. I said, but I still play my PS4. Well, why do you like the Xbox better than the PlayStation? And I said, well, the big thing is I like Game Pass. I said, I get all the first party games. I don't have to worry about that. I just pay my monthly fee. And she's like, well, they don't how do they make any money with that? And she goes, they're not releasing, you're not buying software. I said, 18 million people at an average of $12.50 a month is $225 million a month Microsoft gets just on Game Pass. I said,
let alone Gold and all the other subscriptions stuff too, man.
Let alone the ones that are the other 50 million people who have Gold, or however many it is. It's more than Game Pass. I said, they literally make more money a month with just Game Pass than if Sony brought out 2 AAA games a year. Because they'll sell 1 million copies of that game or 5 million copies of that game, but they'll get that over a span of a year, where Microsoft is making $225 million just on Game Pass a month and not releasing a first party game. It's like, that's the other thing. They haven't released a first party game since when? When was the last first party game that they released?
Medium.
Was it?
That's it.
The Medium. Well, that wasn't.
Oh yeah,
them,
I forgot about that.
That was, well, I guess that was that was them. But before the Medium, then what? There was.
I mean, I guess you would think like the stuff that came out at launch with the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Or was there something after that was also first party? Because you had like. You have like Demon Souls and like the Sackboy game and stuff. I guess counts as first party, but they do it sparkly.
Yeah, and Microsoft didn't have any first party games at launch, but yet they still had Game Pass money coming in, and that's what I think a lot of people don't. And she just kind of stood there for a minute, and she didn't have an answer for it. It's like, well, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, well, not only that, but I think of like the people that, that's not to take into account the fact that like you can straight up purchase those games at a discount.
Yeah.
Have Game Pass. So like if you like it, a lot, and you're just like, you know what, my Game Pass subscription is about to die out, but that's okay because I'm just going to play this for a while. Let me just go ahead and buy this real quick at a discount, and then I'll just play this for a while. So you still, that's an extra set of, dollars that you're making, and then, obviously at, with their storefront, they get a piece of everything sold. So, and then like, if you buy, what if you play something on Game Pass and then, you buy a physical copy of that game, or just a copy of that game, in general.
Or on Game Pass, there's an older game in a franchise and you really like it, so you buy the new version when it comes out, even if it's not on Game Pass. So, there's all sorts of things that are avenues for them to make money.
Well,
exactly.
And, I sat down last night and thought, well, maybe I'll get PlayStation Now. Let me see what games are on PlayStation Now. No wonder PlayStation Now only has like 2 million people. There's nothing that great or that new on it. I mean,
2 is just...
Spider-Man was on there for a little while, and now it's not even on there anymore. It's like, what? It's like you're doing it wrong.
The only reason I haven't gotten Game Pass is because I don't need it. with all the overload of other games I already have, is like I don't need to add to the pile by getting Game Pass as well. So that's the only reason I haven't gotten it. Otherwise, I probably would.
Yeah, I just like the ability to put a bunch of games on there and and just go. I really like it, and I'm hoping Sony comes up with some answer to it, because
I think they will, but because it's Sony, it's going to be a lot longer for them to do it because they'll drag their feet.
Yeah.
Or just not understand what exactly they need to do to actually do it. Like, just do Game Pass on your system. But in order to do that, they're going to have to do a bunch of all the deals that go on in order to be able to add games on there. So that takes time.
Yeah, that takes time, and it takes money.
Yep.
That's the other thing. And it's, I don't know if Sony has the money to be able to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, they could obviously do stuff with their first party Sony games, do some sort of things. They've already started to be like, hey, we'll put some stuff out on PS Plus, but it's been nothing amazing yet. So who knows?
Oh, yeah, but
I think by the end of this generation, the PlayStation ecosystem will hopefully look different than it does right this second. But who knows whether it'll be better or worse?
Yeah, that's the question.
It can go either way. Who knows?
Yeah. But it was just hilarious because we were talking, and then I said that, and she just kind of went, "Oh, yeah, they haven't put out a big blockbuster game in a while, and they're still making money hand over fist."
You're like, you should just be like, "Hey, how does Netflix make money? How do all these other things that are subscriptions make money?" Because they get people hooked on it, and then they just keep paying them every month, no matter how much they are using it or not.
Yep. I prepaid for 2.5 years, so there you go.
Where you tell us that she tore off her shirt and then there was an Xbox logo. You're right.
I was just testing you, John.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
like Superman. Just
it has just been such a long time since I have seen a rep out. It was, and what's funny is all the reps that I see now are, I don't want to say old, because that's not true. They're older people. She has been the PlayStation rep in Pittsburgh since PlayStation was founded. For 25 years, this is what she has done, and she's still doing it. So she's been around since the PlayStation 1 day.
Yeah, that's a long time to be doing anything.
Yeah, the woman that did the Nintendo in North Carolina when we lived down there, she had at that time been with Nintendo for 25 years, and that was 6 or 7 years ago since I've seen her. So most of these reps have been around for a long time, so it's like when I see one, it's like,
yeah, the same rep I had. I think her name was like Barbara or something
like that, I think. Yeah. I've got a picture of her business card somewhere.
She was awesome though.
Yeah, she was the coolest. She brought me I've still got it. She brought me a GameCube pin and a Donkey Kong Country shot glass from their big meeting they had. Yeah, I've got a shot glass that has the Donkey Kong Country logo on it. Somewhere. I've got it in a box here somewhere. So, yeah. Not very many people could say they have a shot glass with a Donkey Kong.
I mean, they didn't package shot glasses in with those Donkey Kong games for some reason.
No, but talk about an oddity. That's the oddity that I have, is the Donkey Kong Country shot glass. So anything else before we end the proceedings? Anything going on? I know, Dennis, you're still kind of out on hiatus, so
on that front, really. I'm just trying to think of in terms of news, really. I mean, honestly, I think we hit the nail on the head on the most important parts of what's happening as of late. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing off the
yeah.
The prosecution rests.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
The jury has retired or something. I don't know.
The jury has been retired by the month.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to call that. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to call that a show. I got laundry to do, so yeah. So, but yeah, we should. I'm trying to think. In 2 weeks, is that going to be Easter?
I'm not sure.
I think that's Easter weekend, so I don't know if we'll do a show. I mean, I'll be available, but yeah, we'll figure it out. Like I always say, if you want to catch us live, follow us on Twitter. I'll let you know when we go live. If you don't, and you just get the podcast, the old podcatcher, you'll get it when you get it. So whatever day it is that we record, you'll get it the next day. So don't worry about it. You'll be up to snuff. That's all you got to worry about. So
We should all play Mario Rabbids. All of us.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for hanging out and listening to us, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Take care.